Chapter 921. Arrogantly denouncing the crime. You're Ping Zhan, aren't you? The man in the Taoist robe pushed the door open and walked in. The bastards downstairs dared stop me from coming up, so I've taken care of them myself. Peng Zhan paused, shocked by the sudden entrance. May I ask if you're Zhizuan Wei, Mr. Wei? That's me. The man in the Taoist robe nodded and said, the security guards here are too inferior. How dare they come out and embarrass themselves with such skills? The phone on Peng Zhan's desk rang, just as Wei Zhizuan finished his sentence. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly as he picked up the phone. It was indeed the security captain, saying that a domineering man had barged into the company and was looking for Peng Zhan. He'd even injured 2 of the security guards. Peng Zhan didn't know what to say, but he couldn't blame Wei Zhizuan at a time like this. After all, Faubert's juniors were relying on him. He only told the captain that everything was fine and told him to send the 2 injured guards to the hospital for treatment. Mr. Wei, you're quite skilled, but you don't have to be calculative with normal people, do you? Peng Zhan put down the phone and stood up. My daughter, and I'll be relying on you from now on. Of course, of course, Wei Zhizuan said proudly. I'm a Mystic Supreme. I have no problem keeping you safe. But as for the commission, the Bodyguard company told me already, 200,000 a month, no problem at all. Peng Zhan nodded, thinking of Lin. 30,000 was quite cheap, but it was his old man who had set the price, and he didn't have the right to interfere. No, that's the company's price. Wei Zhizuan shook his head. That money is for the company, so you have to pay me 300,000 a month. Peng Zhan paused, not expecting Wei Zhizuan to be this greedy. What? You can't afford it? Then I'll have to leave. Wei Zhizuan said as he stood up to leave. Please don't be angry, Mr. Wei. Fine, 300,000 it is. Peng Zhan had no choice but to agree. 500,000 for a big shot, but Peng Zhan had no choice but to keep him. That's what I said. 500,000 to hire a mystic class supreme being. That's a pretty good deal for you. Wei Zhizuan nodded and laughed. Peng Zhan wasn't too clear on the levels of strength, and he didn't know how strong a mystic prime was, but it sounded like it was pretty strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to raise the price like this. All right, then according to the contract, the probation period is 1 month, and the salary will start next month? Peng Zhan asked. Those are the company's rules. Wei Zhizuan shook his head. This Wei's rule is that the probation period is 1 day, and the salary will be paid starting tomorrow. All right, no problem. Peng Zhan sighed. Wasn't this bodyguard a little too cocky? Who was the employer? But Wei Zhizuan was right. A mystic class supreme being a bodyguard for a commoner. How could that be possible if there wasn't a huge benefit to it? But as the 2 were talking, the office door was pushed open once more, and 3 arrogant people walked in. This time, the security captain downstairs didn't dare to stop them. Who knew what kind of people were coming today? Previously, there was an old man in a Taoist robe who hurt people without saying a word. Now, these 3 people didn't say anything and just rushed inside angrily. Where's Peng Zhan? You've got some guts, haven't you? How dare you mess with someone from the Xiao family? Xiao Ji barked as soon as he walked in. Peng Zhan had met Xiao Ji before and knew that he was from the Xiao family. Peng Zhan Industries had done business with the Xiao family before. As for what happened to the Xiao family recently, Peng Zhan knew that the Xiao family came to Songzhan to invest, but he didn't know why the Xiao family would come to his office all of a sudden. It seemed like they were here to interrogate him. Mr. Xiao, may I know how I've offended the Xiao family? Peng Zhan looked at the murderous Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben, confused. Were these 2 mistaken? Peng Zhan Industries' recent business had nothing to do with the Xiao family, and there was no way they'd offended the Xiao family. Your daughter humiliated my wife. Go Huli. Xiao Ji laughed coldly. My Xiao family just came to Songzhan, and you're already trying to show us who's boss? Is it because the old man who bullied our Xiao family just passed away, and our Xiao family is unable to recover from this setback? A tiger that falls to the plains will be bullied by dogs. Mr. Xiao Ji, what do you mean by that? When did my daughter humiliate your wife? Peng Zhan frowned. Besides, there's no way you're trying to show us who's boss. Peng Zhan Industries has done business with the Xiao family before, and I can't wait to welcome your investment here. Why would I bully you? Oomph. You make it sound so nice. Our Shao family is still bigger than a starving camel, and you're one of the biggest corporations in the area. Aren't you afraid that our Shao family will come and take away your business? Shao Ji humphed. So you instigated your daughter to humiliate my wife in every possible way, to attack our Shao family's position in Songzhan. Mr. Shao Ji, why am I getting more and more confused? Business is business, and since it's business, naturally there are buyers and sellers. Business is only business when there are more people. Why would I be afraid of you guys taking away my business? Peng Zhan had his suspicions, but Shao Ji's words made sense. Peng Zhan felt that something wasn't quite right. It seemed like the Shaos were here to cause trouble on purpose. All right, Mr. Chu, we're all smart people. Let's cut the bullshit. Xiao Ben, who had been standing at the side, spoke up. Why don't you just ask your daughter? She and this Shu person bullied my sister-in-law. Go Huli. How could we say anything? Peng Zhan paused. If Xiao Ben said that his daughter was with Shu, then it couldn't be nonsense. Could it be that Yao Yao offended that Go Huli again? All right, since Mr. Xiao is so insistent, I'll ask my daughter first. Peng Zhan had no choice but to nod. Hurry up, there's a limit to our patience. Xiao Ji's words carried a commanding tone. Chapter 922. Super greedy, the matter had just ended, and now the Shao family was knocking on his door again. Peng Zhan turned and went into his office break room, and the Shao family didn't follow him in. They just stood there, smiling coldly. In the break room, Peng Zhan dialed his daughter's number, but hung it up after some thought. She was probably at school at this time, so he called Lin Yi directly. Uncle Chu. Lin Yi was at Xu Amin's house with Kong Xiaobo and Fatty Lai. He had some things to take care of before he left. I want to ask you about something. It's about Yao Yao and a person called Go Huli. Peng Zhan said. Oh, Go Huli? Lin Yi paused, remembering this person. He told Peng Zhan about what happened, but it's been a while. Why are you asking about this all of a sudden, Uncle Chu? Go Huli, the wife of the Shao family's young master, Shao Ji. Now, they're here. Peng Zhan sighed. According to Lin Yi, although Yao Yao and Shu were at fault in the beginning, it was just a small dispute. They only wet Go Huli's clothes, and after Yao Yao and Shu apologized and asked for compensation, Go Huli was being unreasonable. But now, the Shao family was using this as an excuse to say that Yao Yao was the one who insulted Go Huli. It seemed that the Shao family didn't come with good intentions. Oh, Lin Yi paused. They're from Yinjing's Shao family? They're here? Lin Yi didn't think that the enemy would come this soon. Meng Yao and Go Huli's dispute had been going on for a while, but the Shao family hadn't made a move yet. They just had to come when Faubert was injured, and he didn't have any strength left. There had to be a conspiracy behind this. However, Lin Yi was powerless. He had only met the two juniors of the Shao family once, and he didn't have any advantage in terms of strength. It's nothing. I can still handle it. I just want to verify it with you. Don't worry. Peng Zhan sighed, thanking his lucky stars that Wei Zhizun had arrived. Otherwise, the Shao family would have eaten him up for sure. Hanging up the call with Lin Yi, Peng Zhan turned around and walked out of the lounge. He looked at the Shao family brothers, then at the old man beside them, and his eyes narrowed. Peng Zhan hadn't noticed this person before, but upon closer inspection, he realized that there was a thick killing intent emanating from him. Peng Zhan might be a normal person, but facing a master like this still gave him the chills. Could he be the legendary guardian of the Shao family, Uncle Pai? If it was really him, then the Shao family must have some ulterior motive for coming here this time. Mr. Shao, I've already made the phone call, but this matter doesn't seem to be the fault of my daughter alone, does it? Peng Zhan said, neither servile nor overbearing. If we were to say something wrong, it would be that your wife's attitude was a little impatient. Fuck you. What did you say? Shao Ji couldn't help but curse at Peng Zhan's words. We, the Shao family, don't need you to teach us what to do. Before the old man of the Shao family had passed away, Shao Ji had been a good-for-nothing, hedonistic young master. He had spent his days fighting and mingling with other hedonistic young masters, causing trouble everywhere he went. But at that time, the Xiao family was at its peak, so it didn't matter. These few years, Xiao Ji had toned down a little, but his bad temper and good-for-nothing personality hadn't changed. Peng Zhan's nonsensical words pissed him off. Peng Zhan didn't expect Xiao Ji to be this uncultured, cursing at the slightest disagreement. How was this a meeting between people of status? Mr. Xiao, what's the meaning of this? Peng Zhan took a deep breath. You're here to cause trouble? So what if I am? I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm here to get back at my wife. Xiao Ji hemped coldly as he kicked the sofa in the office. You dare bully the Xiao family? I think you're tired of living, aren't you? My Xiao family is still a noble house, no matter how weak we are. Who do you think you are, Peng Zhan? Wei Zhizun, on the other hand, was sitting on the side, enjoying the show. Since Peng Zhan didn't ask him to make a move, he was more than happy to watch the show. Only when the situation became more and more dangerous would he be able to make a move and show his power. Xiao Ji, are you here to cause trouble? What do you want? Just say it. Peng Zhan didn't believe that Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were just cursing and smashing things. There had to be some other purpose. All right, big bro, calm down first. Let me talk to Mr. Chu. Xiao Ben was very satisfied with his brother's actions. He'd put Peng Zhan in his place first, and the following conditions would be easier to negotiate. So Xiao Ben pretended to persuade Xiao Ji first before continuing. I believe that Mr. Chu is a smart man and will definitely compensate our Xiao family. Am I right, Mr. Chu? Xiao Ji hemped coldly as he sat on the sofa, not saying another word. Just say what you want, won't you? Peng Zhan, of course, knew what the Xiao family brothers were here for. They were just using this as an excuse to ask for some benefits. Good. Xiao Ben looked at Peng Zhan and nodded. Our Xiao family is a noble house, and even if we're a little down and out right now, the Xiao family isn't someone you can just humiliate. If Mr. Chu doesn't pay a price, won't everyone start humiliating our Xiao family? What price do you want? Peng Zhan asked, suppressing the anger in his heart. It had been so long, and the Xiaos had only just come to their doorstep, and the timing was quite coincidental, coming only when Li Fu and Lin Yi were injured. Peng Zhan couldn't help but suspect that they'd come after receiving the news. We won't ask for much. Xiao family is here to do business, after all. How about this, Mr. Chu? Why don't you just give us the Peng Zhan Mall and Peng Zhan Hotel to Xiao family, and give us 200 million as a starting capital, and we'll call it quits? Xiao Ben said straightforwardly. Plus, he didn't want to pay up at all. Seeing Peng Zhan's angry face, his greed grew. Chapter 923. This is your helper? Greedy? You bullied our Xiao family. It's good enough that Peng Zhan Industries didn't go bankrupt. Xiao Ji interrupted. Back in the days when our Xiao family was at its peak, if you messed with our Xiao family, we would have taken down your entire Peng Zhan Industries. One word from Xiao family, and no one would dare to do business with you. Haha, Xiao Ji, you said it yourself. Xiao family isn't what it used to be. There's no need for us to talk about this anymore. Please leave, Peng Zhan said faintly. Peng Zhan said faintly. Since House Xiao had such a big appetite, he'd have to continue being enemies with them. Just wait and see. Peng Zhan thought that although Xiao family was a big family, they were new to Songshan, and Peng Zhan Industries might not lose to them. Peng Zhan, don't fucking refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Xiao Ji slapped his thigh. What are you pretending for? Our Xiao family may not be what it used to be, but how much better can you be? Do you still think you're the Peng Zhan from a while ago? Do you know why we came to you now? Do you know why? Peng Zhan frowned, his heart skipping a beat. It seemed like he was right, but this Xiao Ji was too arrogant. Your driver, Li Fu, was he crippled? He still hasn't woken up yet, right? That Lenny, he's injured too, isn't he? He lost all his strength, right? Xiao Ji continued. We didn't come to you before because we were worried, but now that we're here, we're sure that we'll take you down. If you know what's good for you, you'd better pay up or we'll bring you more excitement. So you planned this all along. Peng Zhan's face was green with anger. The Xiao family brothers were here to take advantage of him. So what? Peng Zhan, Earth isn't safe right now. You and your daughter need to be careful. Don't die on the streets. Otherwise, you won't be alive to spend your money. Xiao Ji said coldly. There are too many unsolved cases these days. Mr. Wei, see the guest out. Chu Pingzhan glanced at Wei Zhizun, who was sitting on the sofa. Fortunately, he was prepared. Otherwise, the Xiao family would definitely eat him alive. Wei Zhizun stood up in a very arrogant manner. If the background music was added, this scene would often be the scene of an expert appearing in a TV drama. You three ignorant children, hurry up and scram for this way. If you dare cause trouble here again, I'll take your lives. Wei Zhizun waved his hand arrogantly and looked at the Xiao family brothers and Uncle Pai with disdain. Wei Zhizun's sudden appearance stunned the Xiao family brothers. They hadn't noticed Wei Zhizun before, nor did they think he was an expert. What the hell are you? Xiao Ji looked at Wei Zhizun and asked with disdain. A mystic. If you don't get lost, I'll send you to the Western Paradise. Wei Zhizun arrogantly looked at Xiao Ji and spoke with contempt. Huh, Pengzhan, I was wondering why you were so cocky. So you've got a new helper? Xiao Ji looked at Wei Zhizun and started laughing. But it's funny, how come I've never heard of a mystic before? Uncle Pai, have you? No, I've never heard of a mystic before. Uncle Pai said faintly. Ignorant child, how dare you make fun of me? I'll kill you. Wei Zhizun was enraged at being ignored like this. Uncle Pai, shut him up. Xiao Ben looked at Wei Zhizun and said to Uncle Pai, Yes, young master. Uncle Pai moved abruptly, reaching out to slap Wei Zhizun. Wei Zhizun was in the midst of his rage when his body was hit, and his voice stopped abruptly. In an instant, his eyes bulged out, and he let out a blood-curdling scream. With a whoosh, he was sent flying and crashed heavily into the wall. He spat out a mouthful of blood and twitched twice on the ground. It was obvious that he had suffered serious internal injuries, just a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, and just broke through mystic not too long ago. What a mystic supreme, what a frog in a well. Uncle Pai shook his head in disdain. I thought there was a new level of mystic. How lame. Is this your helper? Which garbage station did you pick him out from? Mystic mid-phase? Wei Zhizun looked at Uncle Pai in disbelief. He didn't expect Uncle Pai to be a mystic mid-phase, 2 whole levels higher than him. Wei Zhizun didn't think that the other party would have a master, and he wanted to show off in front of Pengzhan, making him feel that the 500,000 he'd spent was worth it. He didn't think that he'd be killed in one move. In actuality, the 200,000 he'd promised wasn't all for the company. It was only a portion of it, and the majority of it was still for Wei Zhizun. But raising the price was a common trick of these masters, and Wei Zhizun had even thought of helping Pengzhan take care of these guys and then asking for a reward or something. But he was gravely mistaken. The other party's strength was far beyond what he'd imagined. Even if he hadn't been careless, he wouldn't have been a match for a mystic mid-phase physical practitioner, and now he'd been hit by a palm because of his carelessness. Wei Zhizun felt as if his organs had been displaced. It was evident that he'd been crippled. Even if he'd recovered, his kung fu wouldn't be able to recover to his current level. This life was over for him. Wei Zhizun felt sorrowful. He regretted taking this job. It was all his fault for being greedy and careless. However, who could they blame? Not only would he not get a single cent, but he'd also have to leave with his tail between his legs. Pengzhan, this is a warning for you. Xiao Ji was overjoyed as he watched Faubert injure Pengzhan's new master with just one palm. He pointed at Pengzhan and said arrogantly, I've already given you the terms. I hope you don't do anything stupid that will kill you. I'll give you one day to think about it. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. Your daughter will be the same, and your entire house Chu will die a horrible death. All right, bro, don't scare him. Who's going to give us the money if he dies? Xiao Ben waved his hand kindly. Let's go. Let's let Mr. Chu think about it. I'm sure he's not an idiot. The Xiao brothers laughed heartily as they left Pengzhan's office with Uncle Pai, completely ignoring Pengzhan's dark expression. Chapter 924. Master Bing's heart Wei Zhizun was Pengzhan's only hope, but now that he was heavily injured, what else could he do? Pengzhan really didn't know what to do. He felt a deep sense of powerlessness, a sense of desperation. There was no way he could fight back against the Xiao family's naked threat. Peng Zhan didn't doubt that the Xiao family would do something extreme if he didn't agree to their request. After all, the masters around them didn't leave any evidence behind, and even if they killed his daughter, Peng Zhan wouldn't be able to do anything about it. "Mr. Wei, are you all right? Do you need me to send you to the hospital?" Peng Zhan turned to Wei Zhizun, hoping that this guy didn't die in his office. Peng Zhan was a little annoyed. He'd been bragging about how strong he was, but it turned out that he was so weak. He'd contacted a top security company, and this Wei Zhizun was the strongest of them all, but he couldn't even take one hit from the enemy. "No need, I'll be leaving first." Wei Zhizun didn't have the face to stay here any longer. He was heavily injured, but walking wasn't a problem. His face reddened as he quickly left Peng Zhan's office, looking for a place to heal himself. Peng Zhan sighed helplessly. Peng Zhan was a man of his word in Peng Zhan Industries, but there wasn't anyone around him he could talk to. Li Fu was heavily injured, and Lin Yi had lost his strengths. Peng Zhan didn't want to tell Lin Yi about this, and Lin Yi would only worry if he did. There was nothing he could do about it. Peng Zhan gritted his teeth. It seemed like he'd have to take responsibility for this. He felt like he was in trouble both internally and externally. The Xiao family was simply too overbearing and arrogant. It was daylight robbery. But even so, Peng Zhan didn't have a solution. Xiao Ji, Xiao Ben, and Uncle Pai left the Peng Zhan skyscraper together, feeling very refreshed. Peng Zhan really was as the rumors said, with the two masters by his side crippled. Why else would he have found this Wei Zhizun instead? But this Zhizun Wei was too useless, and Uncle Pai slapped him to the ground with a single palm. "Brother, do you think Peng Zhan will give in? Aren't our conditions a little too harsh?" After Xiao Ji got in the car, he asked worriedly, "Didn't we agree at home that we only want 200 million? But we want Peng Zhan Commercial Building and Peng Zhan Business Hotel. Don't you think he'll do something desperate?" "Humph, isn't this the same as asking for a sky-high price and selling it on the spot?" Xiao Ben smiled. "We have to get those two industries. As for the 200 million, I'm guessing that Peng Zhan won't be able to come up with that. It'd be good if he could get 50 million when the time comes, and that'll give him some room to bargain. But if he's stupid enough to give us money, we'll gladly accept it." "Ha ha ha, you're really thoughtful, brother." "That's right, with a stronger party, and we're asking for a sky-high price. Peng Zhan can bargain with us when the time comes, and if he doesn't, we'll be making a huge profit." Xiao Ji nodded happily after understanding Xiao Ben's intentions. "Bro, since we've successfully coerced Peng Zhan, you should at least tell Master Ben about this. After all, he's the one who provided us with the information. It wouldn't be good if we didn't report the results to him, would it?" Xiao Ben suggested after Xiao Ji had calmed down. Of course, of course." Xiao Ji listened to Xiao Ben's suggestion and agreed. "You're really thoughtful, brother. We can't afford to offend Master Bing. Our Xiao family needs to have a good relationship with Master Bing if we want to do business in Songshan in the future." With that, Xiao Ji quickly took out his phone and called Zhao Qibing. Qibing heard from Tsihua's informant that the Xiao family brothers had gone to cause trouble for Peng Zhan. He, too, was looking forward to the news from the Xiao family brothers. Qibing and Tsihua were much more cautious this time. They'd sent someone to test Lin Yi's strength, confirming that his strength had dropped drastically. But with the precedent of Uncle Zhu's quick recovery, Qibing and Tsihua were afraid that Lin Yi was pretending to be weak, waiting for the enemy to take the bait. So they didn't make a move on Peng Zhan immediately after receiving the news. Instead, they sent the Xiao family to test the waters. Qibing quickly picked up the call when he saw the Xiao family call. "Hello, I'm Qibing. Master Bing, I'm Xiao Ji." Xiao Ji was a generation older than Qibing, but because of Qibing's background, he had to be respectful in front of him. "Oh, it's Uncle Xiao. What's up?" Qibing pretended not to know. "Ha, Master Bin, I'm calling to thank you. Thank you for the information you gave us. We want to cause trouble for Peng Zhan." Xiao Ji smiled. "Now that we've succeeded, I'm calling to tell you the good news." "Oh, you succeeded?" Qibing's heart skipped a beat. Did that mean that Lin Yi was really done for? From the looks of it, he could also move a little, but on the surface, he didn't show it. Is that so? Didn't Peng Zhan resist? Resist? How could he resist? How could he resist? That Li Fu and Lin Yi were both done for, but Peng Zhan wasn't an idiot. He hired another Mystic-class master from some bodyguard company, thinking that he had something to rely on. He wanted to show off in front of us, but Uncle Pai crippled him with just one move. Peng Zhan was scared out of his wits. Huh. Xiao Ji excitedly recounted the events that had transpired. Oh, he found another master. Qibing thought to himself. Luckily, he didn't act rashly. Peng Zhan's master wasn't that good, and the Xiao family took advantage of him. Otherwise, the Xiao family would be in trouble. It seemed like his information network wasn't that smooth after all. Yeah, I don't know where all these masters came from. Golden-class masters are rare enough in this world, and Mystic-class masters are only found in noble houses. I didn't think that Peng Zhan would be able to hire a Mystic-class master as well. Speaking of this, Xiao Ji was a little worried. Master Bing, do you think you will hire more powerful helpers? Xiao Ji couldn't be blamed for worrying. He was from a noble house, but he wasn't from a martial arts house. He didn't know as much about masters as Qibing. Chapter 925. A piece of the pie. You don't have to worry about that. I don't think I need to tell you what the power behind me is, so I have a say in this matter. Qibing comforted him. Indeed, in the common world, golden-class masters are rare existence. There might not even be a few in a city. Only the noble houses have mystic-class masters. However, other than the noble houses, there are also mercenary organizations with masters in their hands. It's just that these people are only there for the sake of benefit. They wouldn't appear without benefits. It's like a mercenary organization. As far as I know, the mercenary organizations in the country are strictly supervised by the hidden noble houses. The strongest among them are only mystic early phase. Once they break through to the late phase or mid phase, they'll be recruited by the hidden noble houses. That way, they'll have the chance to break through to Earth class. Who would stay in a mercenary organization? Oh, is that so? Then what if Peng Zhan hired someone from abroad? Xiao Ji thought of the foreign mercenary organizations after hearing that there weren't any masters in the country. Do you think Peng Zhan has that kind of ability? If he did, his company would have been one of the top 500 companies in the world long ago, not just in the country. Qibing said with disdain. Don't worry, if there were stronger masters he could hire, would he settle for the second best and hire a piece of trash for you torture? That's true. Xiao Ji finally breathed out in relief and nodded. Thank you for your explanation, Master Bing. Now that you mention it, I'm tempted as well. I want to get some money too. Right, what did you guys extort from Peng Zhan? Qibing asked. Xiao Ji panicked when he heard that Qibing wanted to get some money too. He hadn't even succeeded yet. And now Qibing wanted to get some money too? Wasn't that just asking for a share of the pie? But he didn't dare say anything to Qibing. He said gloomily, we asked him for Peng Zhan commercial building and Peng Zhan business hotel, and 200 million as startup capital. Oh, I see. Qibing was envious. It seemed like he should make his move as soon as possible, or else Peng Zhan Industries will be taken away by others. When was he going to do it if not now? And so, Qibing wasn't in the mood to chat with Xiao Ji anymore. After a few words, he hung up. Xiao Ji was panicking as well. He hung up the call and started discussing with Xiao Bin. Brother, Zhao Qibing seems to be interested too. Do you think we'd be able to get so much money if he were to join in as well? This isn't beneficial to our Xiao family. Big brother, you're worrying too much. Xiao Bin, on the other hand, waved his hand casually. The situation now is that the more enemies Peng Zhan has, the better it'll be for us. It's best if there are a few more. Oh, why is that? Xiao Ji's brain wasn't as good as Xiao Bin's, and he couldn't wrap his head around it. Think about it. So many enemies are going after Peng Zhan. Peng Zhan is the one who's at his wit's end. He has no other choice but to cut his own flesh. Even if he has the ability to get more helpers, can his helpers fight against so many people? Xiao Bin explained. Peng Zhan might still think he's lucky if we're the only ones looking for trouble, thinking that he might be able to avoid it. I see. Xiao Ji nodded. Brother, you're the smartest one of all. This way, our Xiao family will get less profit, but it'll be a lot more stable. That's right. So, We don't have to do anything right now. We'll just wait for Master Bing to do what he wants, and when Peng Zhan is in trouble, we'll go after him. I don't believe he won't give in, Xiao Ben said. Qibing hung up and quickly called Sihua, Gubong, and Fabai over. He was going to make a move on Peng Zhan Industries, and he had to do it as soon as possible. It'd be a huge loss if he didn't get there in time, and the profits would be taken away by others. Right now, Qibing had already treated Peng Zhan's assets as his own, and he was afraid that someone else would take it from him. Old Jean, Old Zhong, you guys know Peng Zhan Industries very well. What excuse do you think we should use to ask for money from Peng Zhan? Qibing asked straightforwardly. These were his trusted subordinates, and he didn't need to hide anything. If Xiao family is using Xiao Ji's wife as an excuse to ask for money, then what about us? At Qibing's level, it was obvious that he was going to take things by force, but he still needed a reason to avoid being criticized. Naturally, Qibing had to find a suitable reason to make a move. Otherwise, wouldn't it be daylight robbery? That was something that Lin Yi would do. Qibing didn't have the guts to do that. Every level had its own rules, and no one would break them. Otherwise, it'd be a complete mess. But Lin Yi didn't belong to the upper class or even the noble houses, so he always did things according to his own rules. He didn't play by the rules at all, and this was why Zhao Qibing couldn't gain any advantage from him. Now that he finally had a chance to teach Peng Zhan a lesson, how could he let it go? Peng Zhan Industries' real estate company was something that Qibing had always wanted. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, the company would have been under his name by now. The few conflicts we had were all with Lin Yi, so it'd be a bit unreasonable to use Lin Yi as an excuse. Sihua said, Xiao family's reason is a bit ridiculous, but it's true that Meng Yao offended Xiao family's Go Huli. I know that. Why would I discuss this with you guys if I could just go ask for money? Qibing glared at Sihua and said impatiently, Let's brainstorm, everyone. I'm afraid that more of Peng Zhan's enemies will come after us if the news gets out. If we're late, we won't be able to get as much as we want. Master Bing, I have a good idea, Gubong said after some thought. But it's a bit like stealing. It's fine if it's in the dark as long as it's not daylight robbery. We won't break the rules. Qibing said, We just need a reason. Peng Zhan's probably in a mess right now, and we'll go scare him a little. There's no way he won't give in. Chapter 926. Chapter 925. House Yuo. You're saying that we should forge a transfer agreement and have Peng Zhan transfer the company to us, then force him to pay up? Qibing's eyes lit up. Yes, even if he knows that it's fake, he wouldn't dare offend us under such circumstances. We can threaten him that we'll kill his daughter if he dares to make a big deal out of this. I'm sure he won't resist. Gubong nodded fiercely. He hated Peng Zhan to the core, and now that there was a chance for revenge, he jumped out without hesitation. What do you guys think? Qibing nodded as he looked at Sihua and Fabai. Master Bing, that's a good idea. We'll have Yaoang come along and scare Peng Zhan. I don't think he'll go back on his word. Sihua nodded. All right, it's decided then. Qibing laughed and sent Gubong off to forge the documents. Yinjing, House Yu's house. Yu Shuixing and Yu Bide sat side by side, while Yu Feng sat beside them. Yu Kuan had woken up by now, and while he was grieving, he told Shuixing and Bide about how he got injured. Although it was Yu Kuan's fault for causing trouble for Lin Yi without a thorough investigation, House Yu wouldn't admit to it, even if they felt that they were in the wrong. They blamed everything on Lin Yi. Second brother, you have to help Kuan. Now that we know that it was Lin Yi who did this, we'll be looked down upon by the other houses if we don't do anything. Bide's heart was filled with hatred. Lin Yi had destroyed his son, destroyed his hope. Bide's strength was basically stuck at his current level for the rest of his life, and he had placed all his hopes on his son. He didn't think that his son would become a cripple. How could he take this lying down? According to what Kuan said, that Lin is only a mystic early phase. Killing him would be a piece of cake. Shuixing said, but what background does this Lin Yi have? He's already at the early phase of the mystic class at such a young age. That's rare, even among the children of noble houses. Don't tell me he came out from some hidden house to train? Oh, Yu Bide listened to Yu Shuixing's analysis and was shocked. Before, He was only thinking about revenge and forgot about Lin Yi's background. Now that Yu Shuaixing reminded him, he was worried. If Lin Yi really was from a hidden house, then House Yu would be stirring up a hornet's nest if they went after him. But little Kuan's revenge. Yu bide-side sadly. Lin Yi's background is just a guess. It hasn't been confirmed yet, so we can be patient. Shuaixing said, let's stick to our original plan and send Lin Feng to investigate Lin Yi's background. It's not too late to make a decision after we see what his background is. That's the only way. Yu Bai nodded unwillingly. If we can't touch Lin, why don't we touch that Pingzhan? If it weren't for his daughter, Meng Yao, asking Lin Yi to kill Kuan wouldn't have ended up like this. They couldn't touch Lin Yi for now, but Yu Bai still had some anger he hadn't vented yet. So, he shifted his hatred to Pingzhan and that little bitch Meng Yao. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was the murderer, but Meng Yao was the mastermind. He couldn't let her go. According to the current situation, Lin Yi is Pengzhan's bodyguard. He's in charge of protecting them. If we touch Pingzhan or Meng Yao, Lin Yi will definitely stand up and help them. We'll become enemies with Lin Yi, and that's not in line with our plan. Shuaixing hesitated and shook his head. Before we figure out Lin Yi's background, we shouldn't make enemies with him. If we touch Pingzhan and Lin Yi really jumps out, House Yu's position will be in an awkward position. We'll be stuck in a dilemma. If we take a step forward, we'll lose House Yu's benefits. But if we take a step back, it'll be embarrassing. That's true. Man, I didn't think that it'd be so troublesome to touch a little Lin Yi. Yu Bai sighed. As they were talking, Yu Feng's phone rang. He glanced at the number and picked it up. Yu Shuaixing and Yu Bai usually didn't pick up their phones during a meeting. They rarely brought their phones with them, so someone would call Yu Feng if there was an emergency. For Yu Feng to pick up the phone in the middle of a meeting, it must be someone from within House Yu. Hello. Haitian bro, what's up? Father and third uncle are in a meeting. Yu Feng said. He wouldn't have picked up the call if it wasn't from Yu Haitian, but Yu Haitian was in charge of House Yu's external business and information system. He must have something to say to Yu Feng at this time. It's like this. There's news from Songzhan. Pengzhan's bodyguard, Li Fu, has been heavily injured, and we don't know if he's dead or alive. On the other hand, Lin Yi has lost all his strength, and Xiao family has gone to find trouble with Pengzhan. Zhao Qibing seems to be making a move as well. Haitian said. He was told to keep an eye on Lin Yi and related people in Songzhan. Oh, what happened? Yu Feng paused after hearing Haitian's words. Did something big happen in Songzhan? This is what happened. Yu Haitian told Yu Feng the details of how Zhan Yingjun kidnapped Meng Yao. I understand. I'll report it to father and third uncle right now. Yu Feng was overjoyed when he heard the news. This news solved all of House Yu's worries and worries. Yu Feng did not dare to waste any time. He immediately told his father and third uncle everything that Yu Haitian had said. This is a godsend. Shuaixing's eyes brightened as he tapped on the tea table in front of him, thinking of a plan. Yeah, Lin Yi's kung fu is crippled now. It's the best time to deal with him. Yu Feng nodded excitedly. Now that I'm there, I can kill Lin Yi without any pressure. Childish. Shuaixing glared at his son. Although Lin Yi's kung fu is crippled, we still don't know if Lin Yi has any background. How can we act rashly? Chapter 9:27. Step by step, sometimes some things have bottoms. If you don't touch that bottom line, you won't see the results. Shuaixing looked at his son, his tone serious. If Lin Yi is from a hidden house, then he's in the common world for training. Otherwise, do you think it's possible for an early-phase mystic to be a follower of a rich merchant? If it were a 40 or 50-year-old man with no potential to break through, or a physical practitioner who's trained to the limit, it'd be possible for him to become a bodyguard for rich people. He's not even 20 yet. His future is limitless. Becoming a bodyguard? Do you believe me? Yeah, I wouldn't become a bodyguard no matter how much money you give me, unless it's training. Yu Feng nodded after hearing his father's words, sighing. I still don't have enough experience. I don't understand this logic. But your third uncle and I, at our age, if we don't have any hope of breaking through, We might become bodyguards for some rich people when House Yu is in dire straits. Even so, we wouldn't let you be a bodyguard no matter what, because you're the hope of House Yu's future. Shueishing said. So, Lin Yi's predicament right now might be a test and trial from the power behind him. As the saying goes, when the heavens are about to bestow a great responsibility upon a man, they must first torture his will, tire his bones, starve his skin, empty his body, and mess up his actions. That's why we have to be patient and do what we can't do. This is also a form of training and training. Then, Father, what do you mean by a heaven-sent opportunity? Yufeng was a little puzzled. If his father didn't approve of making a move against Lin Yi, then why did he say that it was a heaven-sent opportunity? We can't touch Lin Yi, but we can touch Ping Zhan. Shueishing smiled. Oh, brother, didn't you say that if we touch Ping Zhan, we'll become enemies with Lin Yi? Yubaid was taken aback and couldn't help but ask. That's before Lin Yi's arts were crippled. If we touch Ping Zhan, Lin Yi would definitely jump out. Shueishing said, but now, what's the point of jumping out when he's lost all his arts? That's true, but what if the power behind Lin Yi can't take it anymore and appears? Yubaid asked. It doesn't matter if he shows up. We can find out more about Lin Yi. I was afraid that he wouldn't show up. Shueishing smiled. But even if the power behind Lin Yi were to help, they wouldn't be able to do anything to us. We need a reason for everything, and we're after Ping Zhan, not Lin Yi. Since they're here, we'll just give them face and let them go. They won't have to take their anger out on House Yu. Besides, House Yu's background isn't something to be messed with. Brilliant, truly brilliant. Yubaid couldn't help but praise after hearing Shueishing's words. This way, no matter what the result is, House Yu won't be at a disadvantage. If the power behind Lin Yi doesn't show up, we can use this chance to punish House Chu and get some benefits out of them. It wouldn't be a wasted trip. On the other hand, if the power behind Lin Yi shows up, we'll be able to find out more about Lin Yi's background. That's right, that's what I mean. Shueishing said, next, we just need to think about what we should propose to Ping Zhan. House Zhan's asking for too much already. If we, House Yu, don't ask for too much, we'd be wasting this opportunity. Father, I suggest that Peng Zhan give up his shares to us and send his daughter over to serve my cousin Yu Kuan. Yu Feng suggested. Leave this to me. Your suggestion isn't bad, but it's best if you don't show yourself yet. You're our trump card, and we need you to deal with Lin Yi. Shueishing said. I'll leave this to you, Bide. Go with Yu Haitian and tell Peng Zhan our intentions. Yes, second brother. Yubai nodded. He was filled with hatred towards Peng Zhan. And this time, he had to teach them a lesson. Song's Han, Peng Zhan's office. Two more uninvited guests. These two were Yao Wang and Sihua. Peng Zhan's anger reached its peak as he looked at the agreement the two showed him. House Xiao had just left, and Zhao Qibing's men were already here. One wave after another. One wave after another. Looking at his signature on the agreement, Peng Zhan felt a deep sense of helplessness. The signature was his, yes, but this agreement was definitely not signed by him. But it didn't matter anymore. Sihua was obviously here to take it by force. Peng Zhan didn't believe that this was a coincidence. The Xiao family had just left, and now Zhao Qibing's men were here. This had been planned for a long time. Mr. Chu, you can't go back on the agreement you signed, can you? Sihua said faintly. When are you going to hand over the real estate company to us? It's written in the agreement that the properties you've developed before, as well as the rest, will be handed over to us. I didn't sign the agreement. You guys know very well. Peng Zhan's face was dark. We all know why you're here. You've been plotting against my real estate company, and now you're here to rob me? You sure have a big appetite. Haha, you're wrong, Mr. Chu. I just want to take back what belongs to us. Sihua said faintly. Mr. Chu, don't do anything irrational. Aren't you worried that you'll push me too far by doing this? Peng Zhan's anger had reached a certain level. He didn't expect these people to jump out so quickly after Lin Yi and Faubert fell. Push you too far? How we push you? Sihua grinned leisurely. If you're unhappy, you can call the police. Right, Yao Wang? Yes, but you have to be careful in the future, Mr. Chu. I didn't manage to poison your daughter last time. but I might not be able to do it next time, Yao Wang said faintly. Lin Yi without Qi. Let's see how he'll be able to save her. It's you. Peng Zhan's face froze as he looked at Yao Wang angrily. But Yao Wang didn't seem to care about Peng Zhan at all. Chapter 928. Chapter 927. Warning. Right, I forgot to tell you, other than being an expert in poisoning, I'm also a mystic-class spiritual practitioner, Yao Wang said faintly as he looked at Peng Zhan, his tone filled with warning. Give me an answer in 2 days. Sihua and Yao Wang stood up and walked out of the office, as if they had Peng Zhan in their grasp. In fact, Sihua did indeed have Peng Zhan in his grasp. From Peng Zhan's attitude today, it was clear that he didn't dare say anything. This was completely different from the past. Last time, he came to Peng Zhan's office after Lin Yi was injured, but Peng Zhan was incomparably calm, sending him away with a few words. Although Lin Yi was injured, his strength was still there, so Peng Zhan had something to rely on. But this time was different. Without Lin Yi's help, Peng Zhan had become a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Peng Zhan sighed dejectedly as he watched the two leave. He was so useless, unable to fight back at all against the threats of these forces. Facing enemies that couldn't be dealt with using normal methods, Peng Zhan felt a deep sense of helplessness. Of course, he knew that he was unlucky. There were so many billionaires out there, and none of them were targeted by these noble houses. But he had to be the one. Peng Zhan finally understood that he was just a businessman. It was impossible for him to go against these powerful, noble houses. Without a powerful trump card, he wouldn't be able to go against them. It seemed that he wasn't a qualified businessman yet. As a businessman, he had to know when to give, and when to give, and when to give, and when to give, and when to others. Peng Zhan had taken over Peng Zhan Industries from his father's hands, and it had been a smooth sailing without much trouble, until Jin Gubong wanted to take over the company, and Peng Zhan had gone down the wrong path. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, Peng Zhan's best option would have been to compromise with Sihua and split the real estate company, selling it to Zhao Qibing at a low price to protect his own company. Sometimes, compromising was necessary when doing business. If you didn't know when to give, and when to give, and when to offend people you shouldn't have offended, you'd be doomed. But Peng Zhan had chosen to let Lin Yi join him forcefully, and this was the beginning of the clash with Zhao Qibing. If Lin Yi could stay by Peng Zhan's side, naturally, he would be able to protect Peng Zhan Industries. But if something were to happen to Lin Yi, it would attract Qibing's retaliation. Peng Zhan finally understood this reason. He seemed to be very strong before, but it wasn't wise at all. At Xu Amin's house, Lin Yi couldn't help but shake his head after ending the call with Peng Zhan. House Xiao's sudden appearance had caught him off guard, but there was nothing he could do about it. No matter what, he was still employed by Peng Zhan before he left, and he could only place his hopes on the new master Peng Zhan had hired. Boss, what's wrong? Did you run into some trouble? Fatty Lai saw Lin Yi frowning, as if he had run into some kind of trouble. It's nothing. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He couldn't even protect himself now. What else could he do? Phew! Lin Yi took a deep breath. Today, everything his enemies had done to him, he'd return it back double in the future. Grandpa Guan, Fatty Lai, I'm leaving. This time, I'm here to say goodbye. Lin Yi suppressed the thoughts of revenge in his heart and said calmly to the two before turning to Kong Xiaobo, I'll leave Xiaobo in your care from now on. Ah, boss, you're leaving? Why are you leaving? Fatty Lai jumped up from the sofa. He thought that Lin Yi had called him over to discuss the new product launch next month, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to say goodbye. Yeah, I'm injured, and I've lost all my strength. There are a lot of enemies here. Lin Yi briefly explained his situation to Guan Xuamin, Fatty Lai, and Kong Xiaobo. Guan Xian, on the other hand, was making tea for them. She just walked in with a tray when Lin Yi announced that he was leaving. She froze, dropping the tray in her hands onto the floor, shattering the teacups, and spilling the tea all over the floor. I'm sorry. Guan Xian realized that she'd lost her composure and quickly bent down to pick up the broken pieces. She was extremely disappointed. Was Lin Yi leaving? Why was he leaving so soon? Between them, it hadn't even started, and it was already over. Guan Xian's mind was a complete blank. her heart a mess. Her tender hand was cut by the teacup shards on the ground, fresh blood gushing out. The pain brought Guan Xian back to her senses. Xian, are you okay? Why were you so careless? Guan Shuamin saw that his granddaughter's hand was bleeding, and he asked nervously, "It's nothing, just a flesh wound. I accidentally touched the broken pieces," Guan Xian said, a little embarrassed. She bandaged other people's wounds every day, so she wasn't afraid of blood. She didn't mind that she was bleeding, and she just wanted to bandage it herself. Fatty Lai, give her a bottle of injury medicine. I saw that you brought a lot of samples today. Lin Yi said to Fatty Lai. Yes, boss. Fatty Lai's face was full of sorrow at the thought of Lin Yi leaving, but the more he thought about it, the sadder he felt. Finally, he couldn't hold back his tears, and he started to cry. Huh? Fatty Lai? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Fatty Lai's reaction. Guan Xian's hand is cut. Why are you crying? I'm sad, boss. Are you really leaving? Fatty Lai wiped his tears as he went to get the injury medicine for Guan Xian. He still had to listen to Lin Yi, and even if he was sad, he still had to get the medicine first. Fatty Lai thought that Lin Yi wanted to talk to him about the product launch next month, so he brought some samples of the injury medicine. Now it's time to put them to good use. It's not like I won't come. I'm just going there to seek refuge, and I'll come back when I recover, Lin Yi said. It won't affect your medical company. Chapter 929. Chapter 928. Guan Shuamin's suggestion. Kong Xiaobo was the first to know that Lin Yi was leaving. He had heard the news from Tang Yun. Tang Yun was the one who told Lu Xinwen and Xiaofan that she was going back to his hometown with Lin Yi. Naturally, Kong Xiaobo knew that Lin Yi was leaving. Although he appeared calm and resolute, he felt exceptionally sad in his heart. He hadn't known Lin Yi for long, but Lin Yi treated him as a brother and a friend. And Kong Xiaobo also treated Lin Yi as his boss. The changes that Lin Yi brought to him were too big. In just a month, he not only gained confidence, but he also had his own career. This was unimaginable in the past. However, no matter how much he didn't want to leave Lin Yi, he couldn't persuade him to stay. Tang Yun had tried to persuade him to stay, but in the end, she still left with Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo even had the urge to bring Xiaofan to follow Lin Yi, but he suppressed the thought rationally. It wasn't loyalty, it was nonsense. Lin Yi was going back to seek refuge and recover his strength. What was he going to do? He might as well stay here and work hard to manage the company for Lin Yi. This was what he should be doing, and it was what Lin Yi was happy to see. All right, stop crying. Lin Yi knew that Fatty Lai was a crybaby. It wasn't strange for him to wipe his tears at the drop of a hat. Guan Shumin, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened his mouth. Actually, if you don't want to leave, I have an idea. Don't want to leave? What idea? Lin Yi was startled as he looked at Guan Shumin. What do you think of Xin Xin? Guan Shumin pondered for a while and suddenly asked. Quack. Lin Yi's eyes went wide at the words. Lin Yi had been hesitant when Peng Zhan told him this, but now that Shuamin was saying the same thing, how could Lin Yi not know what he was getting at? Was Guan Shuamin looking for a grandson-in-law as well? Sweat, it seems like I'm very popular. Grandpa Guan, why are you asking this all of a sudden? But Lin Yi pretended like he didn't understand. Guan Xian's pretty. She's a good cook. Guan Xian, who was applying medicine to herself, tensed up when she heard her grandpa's words. How could she not know what her grandpa was thinking? Her grandfather wanted to betroth her to Lin Yi. Guan Xian was well aware of that. It was just that Lin Yi already had a girlfriend, so Guan Xian wasn't too clear about it. Hearing her grandpa talk to Lin Yi in such a serious manner today, Guan Xian's heart skipped a beat. Guan Xian didn't have high hopes, but she felt that quietly liking someone was also a very happy thing. She didn't have to go for it, as long as she could be by his side and watch him. But even so, Guan Xian really wanted to know what Lin Yi's attitude toward her was. And so, Guan Xian pretended to apply medicine, but her ears perked up as she listened to Lin Yi's answer. When she heard Lin Yi's evaluation of her, her heart felt as sweet as honey. Wasn't Lin Yi talking about the best candidate for a good wife and mother? Guan Xian's breathing quickened, and her face reddened. Did he like her? Huh. If that's the case, then how about I betroth her to you? Guan Shuamin laughed. If you become my grandson-in-law, then you'll be my disciple in medicine. Although you don't need me to teach you, with my name, your enemies won't bother you anymore. I'm just a scholar, but the noble houses and some of the nobles in Yanjing will still give me some face. With me here, no one will dare to touch you. Guan Shuamin wasn't boasting. Lin Yi naturally knew that if he agreed, Zhao Qibing wouldn't dare to openly make an enemy out of Guan Shuamin, no matter how angry he would be. After all, Guan Shuamin had the support of many noble houses and nobles. Guan Shuamin was a famous medical expert in the country, and many people had been treated by him. It could be said that Guan Shuamin's network was very wide. Lin Yi didn't know how to answer at that moment. After all, Guan Xian was sitting right next to him. If Lin Yi rejected directly, it would definitely hurt Guan Xian's feelings, and that wasn't something Lin Yi wanted to see. However, Lin Yi had a good impression of Guan Xian, but it wasn't to the point where he wanted to protect her in the Guan house. I'll go make some tea, you guys talk. Guan Xian didn't think that her grandfather would say it out so directly, and in front of her at that. How could she say it out loud? And so, Guan Xian subconsciously wanted to hide. She found an excuse, stood up, and stumbled to the kitchen. Lin Yi was about to tactfully answer Guan Shuamin's suggestion when the door of the villa opened. Guan Xiaoxiang walked in with a dark face and said unhappily, "Dad, what are you thinking? How can you just marry Xian to someone? And in a dangerous situation? Plus, Xian is already married to someone else. Even if you want to break off the engagement, you should talk to the person first. Why are you acting on your own now?" Guan Xiaoxiang had been hiding in front of the villa for a long time, and when he heard that his father was going to marry his daughter to this young man named Lin Yi, he couldn't take it anymore. He pushed the door open and rushed in. Not to mention that Guan Xiaoxiang didn't have a good impression of Lin Yi to begin with. And now that Lin Yi had gotten himself into trouble outside and wanted to use this method to escape, how could he agree to it? What if Guan Xian was in danger? Guan Xiaoxiang, do you have any manners? Can't you see I'm in the middle of a discussion? Get out, get out. Guan Shuamin didn't expect his son to barge in at this time and say such things that he couldn't get out of the situation. Guan Shuamin's temper flared up. He usually didn't get angry, but now he was angry. He pointed at Guan Xiaoxiang and wanted to kick him out. "I can leave, but I'm afraid that you'll be tricked." "It's fine if your reputation is tricked, but I don't want my daughter to be dragged into this." Guan Xiaoxiang humphed and pulled Guan Xian out. Guan Xian didn't know what to do. She didn't think that her father and grandfather would clash so fiercely. She didn't know what to say. "Grandpa Guan, I'll be leaving first. Anyway, I'll leave the medical company to you and Fatty Lai." Lin Yi shrugged self-deprecatingly as he stood up. He didn't need to say anything else under these circumstances, and there was no way he could get involved in Xu Amin's family conflict. He might as well take his leave. Chapter 9:30. Another uninvited guest. Fu. Lin Yi breathed out in relief after exiting Xu Amin's villa. Guan Xiaoxiang's sudden intrusion had solved a problem for Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't know how to answer him. Although Lin Yi was reluctant to part with Guan Xian, this girl had left a deep impression in Lin Yi's heart. Lin Yi couldn't stay. He had to find a way to recover his strength. Xu Amin's words were right. He may have lost his strength, but he still had his medical skills. It was possible for him to gain some status, but he still believed that medical skills were only a support. Only strength was the capital. What Pingzhan didn't expect was that two uninvited guests came to the company that evening just as he was about to get off work. Most of the employees had left after work, but Pingzhan didn't leave. He gritted his teeth and made a difficult decision. He would satisfy the Shao family's and Zhao Qibing's requests. He couldn't satisfy the Shao family's requests completely, but he could give them the Pengzhan Business Building and Pengzhan Business Hotel. As for the 200 million, Pengzhan wasn't prepared to give it to them. He was a smart businessman, and from the Xiao family's tone, he could tell that the 200 million was negotiable. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, couldn't bargain with him. He asked for a branch company, and it was one of the most valuable branch companies. The real estate company itself wasn't worth much, but the few pieces of land in the company's hands were priceless. There was no lack of luxurious villas in the last piece of land, and one of them was worth tens of millions. But Peng Zhan knew that this was what they wanted, and he had to give it to them. Peng Zhan's only hope was that after he satisfied the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing, the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing wouldn't bother him anymore. Peng Zhan Industries didn't have much assets left, but it was enough to maintain its operations. But just as Peng Zhan made the decision, the door to his office was pushed open. Peng Zhan was already used to people barging in today, from Wei Zhizun to the Xiao family, to Cihua and Yao Wang, and now 2 more. Yu Haitian? Peng Zhan recognized one of them, Yu Haitian. He knew that he was the person in charge of House Yu's business in Yanjing, but he didn't know the middle-aged man beside him. Not bad, Chairman Chu. You actually recognize me. Yu Haitian laughed, but his expression was one of arrogance. He may be a businessman, but managing the business for House Yu is something Peng Zhan couldn't compare to. Peng Zhan's face darkened. Those who came didn't have good intentions, and now that House Yu suddenly barged in, Peng Zhan had a bad feeling. Could it be that they were here for trouble as well? Peng Zhan couldn't be blamed for guessing this way. After all, there were 2 groups of people here today, and back in the villa, Lin Yi had clashed with House Yu's Yu Kuan because of General Wei Wu, even injuring him. House Yu's purpose for coming here was self-evident. I didn't know that Mr. Yu was here. Peng Zhan didn't finish before the middle-aged man beside Yu Haitian interrupted him. You're Peng Zhan? How dare you? You gave birth to a lowly daughter who actually let someone injure my son. Yu Bide was here for trouble, and with the pain he felt for his son, he couldn't take it anymore. He exploded the moment he saw Peng Zhan. If it weren't for House Yu's benefit, Yu Bide would have slapped Peng Zhan to death, and then go after his daughter and Lin Yi. Peng Zhan's heart tightened. As expected, they were here for trouble, and it was for that matter. That's right, I'm Peng Zhan. I wonder if Mr. Yu has anything to teach me? Peng Zhan smiled bitterly, knowing that he couldn't escape today. Teach me? Oof. My son is crippled now, a cripple who can't even get up from his bed. What do you think I have to teach you? Yu Bide raged. Even if I kill your entire family, it won't be enough to appease the anger in my heart. Third uncle, please calm down. We're honest businessmen. We can't kill each other. Yu Haitian smiled. Plus, we're here to talk about compensation, Mr. Peng Zhan. Of course, if you can't compensate us, we can still kill their entire family. Anger. Peng Zhan was shaking with anger. Yu Haitian's words sounded nice, but it was full of threats. If he couldn't compensate them, he would kill his entire family? Wasn't this too much? However, facing the head of the 4 big and 5 small houses, House Yu, Peng Zhan didn't have any temper at all. Peng Zhan didn't doubt that House Yu's words were just to scare him. If House Yu killed him, it would be as easy as stepping on an ant. At most, if they investigated, there would be countless people who would take the blame. Yu Kuan was the one who trespassed, yet he blamed it on Peng Zhan when he got injured. Peng Zhan felt wronged. But you can't reason with House Yu. With House Yu's current attitude, it was obvious that they were here to cause trouble. You tried to reason with them, but they acted like gangsters, and you didn't have any temper at all. That's true. Yu Bai nodded. Haitian, you should speak. Tell him our conditions. If he doesn't agree, I'll kill his entire family. Mr. Peng Zhan, my 3rd uncle has a short temper, and Kuan is his only son, so please don't mind him. Haitian smiled. As long as you fulfill House Yu's conditions, he won't kill your entire family. Peng Zhan's face turned purple. He had never felt so wrong before, and he couldn't fight back at all. No matter what Haitian said, he couldn't do anything because they weren't on equal footing. He was the one being bullied. What conditions? Peng Zhan took a deep breath and asked. From the Xiao family, to Zhao Qibing, to House Yu, all of them were powerful existences, and none of them were people Peng Zhan could mess with. Peng Zhan didn't know if there would be more powerful people coming after him, but he couldn't deal with these people anymore. Let your daughter marry cousin Yu Kuan as a concubine, and your Pengzhan Industries will be given a House Yu as a dowry. Yu Haitian stated House Yu's conditions word by word. What? Pengzhan was shocked, and his face changed. House Yu's conditions exceeded the Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's. It was unbelievable. House Yu, you've gone too far. How could Pengzhan agree to such conditions? Chapter 9:31. That's bullying you. Mr. Yu, don't you think that this condition is a bit too much? Pengzhan asked in a low voice. Too much? In our dictionary, we've never heard of the word too much. Yu Bide laughed and slammed his palm on the stone tea table in front of him. Immediately, the hard natural stone shattered into pieces, and shards flew everywhere. Some of the shards flew directly onto Pengzhan's face, scratching his skin. Pengzhan stood there, his expression indescribably sad. House Chu's crisis had come, but he didn't have a plan to deal with it. The second condition, I can agree to it. I'll transfer all the shares to you, but the first condition, Yao Yao can't marry into your House Yu. Pengzhan hesitated and finally made this decision. He could lose the company, but he couldn't lose Yao Yao. Marry into House Yu as a concubine? Yao Yao would suffer a lot in the future. How could he ruin her happiness? Besides, it was her choice who she married. Why would he interfere? House Yu's words are like spilled water. How can we take them back? Haitian said coldly. Pengzhan, you need to understand that we're not bargaining with you. We're giving you a choice. Either your whole family dies, or you marry your daughter and pay the price. Make your choice. Don't go too far. Pengzhan gritted his teeth, his eyes shooting out flames of anger. He clenched his fists tightly, his body shaking uncontrollably. What do you mean by going too far? Yu Bide smiled. So what if we're bullying you? You can do whatever you want. You can find people, helpers, but let's see who dares to cause trouble for House Yu. Don't forget the identity behind House Yu. The rules of the common world don't work on hidden houses. Yu Bide's words hinted that if Pengzhan had any help, he should bring it out as soon as possible. Stop hiding it. He wanted to lure out the power behind Lin Yi. Of course, if Lin Yi didn't come out to help, it meant that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and House Yu would be able to do whatever they wanted. You guys, Pengzhan felt a sharp pain in his chest. He held his chest as he breathed heavily. He didn't think that House Yu wouldn't even talk about conditions, asking for everything. One had to know that Pengzhan had already compromised, but they were still pushing. By the way, isn't your daughter's bodyguard very powerful? It's fine if she doesn't want to marry. As long as she shows some of her strength, I'll let her go. Yu Bide was afraid that Pengzhan wouldn't remember the strength behind Lin Yi, so he reminded him. Pengzhan was speechless. He didn't understand what Yu Bide meant. He thought that Yu Bide knew that Lin Yi had lost all his strength and was purposely making sarcastic remarks. Otherwise, if Lin Yi hadn't lost his strength, how would they have dared to come to him together? Think about it yourself. Give us an answer in 2 days. You only have 2 days. With that, Yu Bide left Pengzhan's office with Yu Haitian. Pengzhan sat on the floor helplessly as he watched the two leave. He didn't know what to do, how to do it. House Chu was already in trouble, but who could he blame? Pengzhan couldn't do anything even if he regretted it. If it weren't for his benevolence back then, causing Gu Bong to have thoughts of betrayal and join forces with Qibing, this wouldn't have happened today. The greed of humans was limitless, especially for people like Jin Gu Bong and Zhao Qibing. As long as their greed grew, it would grow endlessly. Although they gave up temporarily because of Lin Yi's appearance. Once Lin Yi lost his strength, these greedy people would come to him again. And now, not only was he in bigger trouble, but he also made some enemies for Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have to go back to his hometown to hide. Although it wasn't entirely because of him that Lin Yi became enemies with these people. If it wasn't because of him, Lin Yi wouldn't even be able to get in touch with these people, let alone become enemies with them. These 2 days, Jiang Wen felt that his kidney was in pain, and he often peed blood. So he went to the hospital for a checkup, and the results shocked him. Young man, where did you get this kidney? It's rejecting it, and from the indicators, it doesn't match at all. We need to remove it as soon as possible. the doctor said to Jiang Wen with the report. Wah. Jiang Wen froze. That's impossible. This kidney is mine. I didn't get it changed. How can it reject it? Your own? That can't be right. There are obvious signs of a kidney transplant on your body. Plus, this kidney looks a little different from your other kidney. The doctor couldn't confirm that it was a dog kidney from the x-ray, but he felt that it was different from Jiang Wen's other kidney. After all, people's kidneys were different, and they weren't exactly the same. There were some who looked abnormal. Jiang Wen didn't know how to explain the reason behind it. It'd be troublesome if the doctor got suspicious and called the police. Young man, your kidney really doesn't match, and there are signs of rejection. If this goes on, you won't even be able to keep your life. It's better to remove it as soon as possible. The doctor said seriously. All right, I'll think about it. Jiang Wen frowned. It wasn't easy for him to get his kidney back. How could he remove it now? Wouldn't that be a waste? The first thing Jiang Wen did when he got out of the hospital was to call Pin Liang. Zhong Pingliang was celebrating with Xiaofu at home. He made a shushing gesture to Xiaofu when he saw Jiang Wen's call and picked up. Hello? Wen bro, what's up? Pin Liang bro, it's big. Jiang Wen said hurriedly. The kidney I got doesn't match. Doesn't match? How is that possible? Isn't that your original kidney? Zhong Pingliang pretended to be surprised, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. It'd be weird if it did match. Unless you were a dog. How could you possibly match a dog's kidney? Yeah, I don't know either, but I just went to the hospital for a checkup, and it really doesn't match. Jiang Wen said. Plus, the doctor wants me to remove it. Chapter 932. Kidney failure again. It can't be wrong. I do feel uncomfortable. My kidney hurts, and I'm peeing blood. I went to a big hospital for a checkup. Jiang Wen said. Is that so? Could it be that the kidney has been in my body for a long time and was assimilated by me? That's why it rejected your body? Pin Liang started bullshitting. He couldn't let Jiang Wen find out. Otherwise, Jiang Wen wouldn't let him go so easily. Oh, what you said is possible. Jiang Wen heard Pin Liang's explanation and understood. Did you take a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting your body? Yes, it must be the medicine that changed your kidney. Pin Liang thought that Jiang Wen was quite smart. He didn't even know how to explain it, and he already found a reason for it. Is that so? Then what should I do? Right now, my kidneys are rejecting it. Jiang Wen wanted to cry, but no tears came out. His kidney. How could it be assimilated by Pin Liang just like that? What should he do? He didn't dare to go to a big hospital to find a solution. After all, this matter was a bit strange. If he told the truth, it was hard to guarantee that the doctor wouldn't be suspicious. If the doctor asked him why he transplanted the kidney to someone else and then transplanted it back, how would he explain it? Plus, he took a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting it. If the doctor had another solution, he wouldn't have asked him to do the surgery. It wasn't like he couldn't afford it. Your situation is a little special, but I know a miracle doctor. You can go to him. He might have a solution. Pin Liang said after some thought. Oh, miracle doctor? Where? Tell me, I'll go to him. Jiang Wen said quickly. Go to Floating Cloud Bar and find Zhao Yaowang. He's Master Bing's family doctor, and his medical skills are quite good. He's very famous these days. Have you heard of him? Pin Liang said. I've heard of him. The internet seems to be saying that Zhao Yaowang is really good. Jiang Wen nodded. I'll go to him now. Pin Liang hung up the phone and cursed at the idiot before calling Master Bing. Hello. Qibing picked up the phone. He was having a great time listening to Cihua and Yaowang's report. It seemed that Peng Zhan was at the end of his rope, and Lin Yi hadn't appeared yet. This meant that all the information was correct, and Lin Yi was crippled. He was now a cripple. Qibing was overjoyed at the thought of owning a real estate company. Master Bing, I'm Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang said. Oh, it's Liangzi. What's the matter? Under normal circumstances, Zhao Qibing wouldn't talk to Pin Liang directly, but since he was in a good mood today, he didn't get mad at him. Pin Liang, on the other hand, called because of the urgency of the matter. Master Bing, I've introduced a fat sheep to you. You just have to rip him off. Oh, really? That's great. What illness? Qibing's mood brightened when he heard that someone was giving him money again. It's that Jiangwen, the one who got a dog kidney. Pinliang said. He's showing signs of rejection now. Yao Wang will decide how to deal with it. No problem. Xiao Yangzi, I will remember this merit of yours. House Zhong will definitely benefit from it. Qi Bing said. It's my duty to do things for Master Bing. Why would I need any benefits? Pinliang said hypocritically. After Pinliang hung up the phone, Xiaofu gave him a thumbs up. Liang bro, you're brilliant. Brilliant. This Jiangwen is dead because of you. What a ruthless move, killing without spilling blood. He should be thanking you for tricking him to death. Of course, that's the best way to treat your enemy. Pinliang laughed. Pinliang, am no longer the Pinliang I used to be. What we're doing now is smart, unlike before, where we only knew how to do things recklessly. Yeah, Liang bro, I've noticed that you're getting smarter and smarter. Xiaofu nodded. Haha, come, let's continue celebrating Lin Yi's death and Peng Zhan's fall. Pinliang raised his glass. Cheers, Xiaofu said happily. Right, Liang bro, you said that Lin Yi is like this now. Why don't we go and kick him a little and get some benefits back? What for? You idiot. Pinliang glared at Xiaofu. Why can't your IQ grow like mine? Why are you still at kindergarten level? Do you dare go to elementary school level? I haven't been through life and death. I don't have opportunities like you. Liang bro, Xiaofu laughed dryly. But why can't we go? First of all, don't underestimate that Lin Yi. He's able to toy with us like this, even crippling me. He's no ordinary person. Pinliang huffed. That kid's the best at pretending to be weak. Did you forget how badly he played us? That's true. But this time, he lost his strength, right? Xiaofu nodded, then shook his head. Lost? How do you know? Pinliang said. How do you know if he's really gone or not? What if he's lying? It's not like he hasn't done it before. Master Bing thought that he lost his strength last time, but what happened? The skyscraper collapsed again. I see. Xiaofu thought about it. It made sense, but he still asked. But why hasn't Lin Yi done anything yet? I don't understand that kid. He's not like that idiot Jiangwen who I can play with. Pinliang shook his head. In other words, I'm traumatized. Lin Yi's situation isn't something a normal person can understand. Oh, that's true. Xiaofu nodded. That's the first thing. Is there a second thing? The second thing is, look, the ones fighting for benefits are all people like Xiao family and Master Bing. My old man, as Master Bing's subordinate, would think that we're stealing food from a tiger's mouth. That wouldn't be good, would it? Pinliang said. Liang bro, you've thought of everything. Xiaofu said, impressed. Now's not the time for us to show off. When Zhang Naipeo leaves the mountain, that's when Pinliang, will show off. Pinliang said proudly. Chapter 9:33. Too evil. Jiangwen had been very happy these past few days. Not only did he get his kidney back, but he also got the underground arena that the Fire Wolves promised him. What Jiangwen didn't expect was that the Fire Wolves promised to send him a mystic early-phase physical practitioner. But now, they sent him a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner. This huge difference in strength surprised Jiangwen beyond words. This was a practitioner who was one level higher than Lin Yi. Of course, Jiangwen didn't know that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts. He had been focusing on his kidney these past few days, and he didn't have the mood to ask about other things. However, when Jiangwen found out that his kidney didn't match, he came back to reality from his fantasy. He didn't have the mood to think about other things anymore. He rushed to the floating cloud bar and saw Master Bing and Yao Wang. Jiangwen knew Master Bing and Sihua. They even worked together to sell their kidneys, so they weren't strangers. Jiangwen told them his purpose as soon as he entered the bar. Master Bing and Yao Wang, who already knew the truth, pretended to be surprised as they looked at Jiangwen. Master One, didn't you get your kidney back? How can it not match? I don't know. It's like this. Zhong Pingyang said that it might be because my kidney was in his body for too long, and it's assimilated. Jiangwen said with a bitter face, the hospital can't do anything now. They want me to have a kidney resection, but I don't want to lose my kidney. This is my original kidney, and if it's removed, wouldn't I be getting it back for nothing? So, I can only go to Yao Wang. I heard that Yao Wang is a great doctor. Do you have a way? The kidney doesn't match? Yao Wang had received a hint from Master Bing that Jiang Wen was quite rich, and he had to think of a way to get some money from him. However, Yao Wang didn't have any good ideas for Jiang Wen's current situation. His kidney wasn't even his, it was a dog's. What could he do? When Zhong Pingliang called, Yao Wang and Master Bing were discussing a solution, but they couldn't think of anything good. After all, human kidneys and dog kidneys were completely different. No matter how powerful Yao Wang was, he couldn't make them match. I'll give you a check first. The Medicine King pondered for a solution. He couldn't let this fat sheep escape. Even if the Medicine King was a swindler, his methods of swindling money were not random. Although he cheated people of their money, he also planted other diseases in them while curing their illnesses so that he could continue to cheat them of their money. But the problem now was that he couldn't cure Jiang Wen's illness. This was not an illness at all. It was just that the organs did not match. There was no other way but to remove it. No matter how powerful he was, there was no way he could create a compatible kidney for Jiang Wen. What do you think? Yao Wang, do you have any ideas? Jiang Wen saw the frown on Yao Wang's face, and his heart sank. He asked carefully. He didn't know that Yao Wang had no ideas at all. The reason why he frowned was because he couldn't find a way to cheat him of his money. That's not easy. Yao Wang shook his head pretentiously. Your kidney has already been assimilated to a great extent. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have come to you, Yao Wang. I heard that Zhan Ingjuan's crooked mouth and eyes were fixed by you. Can you fix my kidney too? Jiang Wen begged. I really don't want to lose this kidney again. Fix it a little. Yao Wang sighed. How was he supposed to fix this thing? His kidney wasn't even his. How was he supposed to fix it? Yao Wang didn't have any ideas. Although he could get some money out of Jiang Wen temporarily, his reputation would be ruined if Jiang Wen found out that the kidney was still rejecting him. Yao Wang cared about long-term profits, not short-term profits. He couldn't ruin his future business just because of Jiang Wen. I'm afraid that you will have to remove it. Yao Wang sighed and shook his head. Can I not remove it? Jiang Wen was on the verge of crying. He didn't think that even the famous Yao Wang couldn't do anything about it. If I don't remove you, the Medicine King wanted to say that it would be useless to keep it in his body if he did not cut it. However, he suddenly had an idea and thought of a brilliant idea. Wasn't Jiang Wen trying to keep this kidney in his body? It didn't matter if he didn't remove it. As long as he used his pure qi to seal the meridians around the kidney and make it useless, everything would be fine. As long as the nutrition of the kidney was maintained, it wouldn't die. However, it wouldn't function like a normal kidney. That was what Jiang Wen wanted. One kidney wasn't going to kill him. Jiang Wen wouldn't be able to tell if this kidney didn't function. He could just tell him that it was fixed. He was really evil. How could he come up with such a wicked idea? He was Yao Wang after all. Plus, this method was very secretive. Only people with pure qi would be able to do it. Normal people wouldn't even think of this method. Those who didn't know would think that Jiang Wen's kidney had recovered. So Yao Wang wasn't afraid of Jiang Wen going to the hospital for a checkup. What's wrong? Yao Wang, have you thought of a way to save me? Jiang Wen paused when he saw Yao Wang in deep thought. It's not that I can't do it, but it's going to cost me a lot of pure qi. I've already used up a lot of it during my treatment. I can't keep using it anymore. I can't make ends meet. Yao Wang shook his head and sighed. You know that I'm a practitioner. Pure qi is very important to me. It's even more important than my life. Practitioners can't do without pure qi. Just like Lin Yi, he's out of pure qi. Isn't he in trouble now? Yao Wang said. Lin Yi? How come Lin? He doesn't have pure qi. Jiang Wen paused. He didn't have the time to think about Lin Yi. He quickly said, Yao Wang, saving a life is better than building a 7th-floor pagoda. Please save me. I'm willing to spend any amount of money, as long as you can heal my kidney. I see. Yao Wang didn't say anything. He looked at Master Bing. Yao Wang, Master Wen used to be our partner. We had a good time working together. Now that he's in trouble, we can't just leave him to die, can we? Zhao Qibing tried to smooth things over. Chapter 934. Chapter 933. Uninvited guest, how much? Jiang Wen asked quickly. 10 million. Yao Wang rarely asked for less than 10 million. Although this money was used to scam Jiang Wen, it wasn't used to cure his illness. Yao Wang was a black-hearted man. Even if he wanted to scam someone, he wouldn't do it cheap. Fine. Jiang Wen gritted his teeth. He wasn't rich, and most of his money was given a house and the Firewolves. But this time, the Firewolves gave him 20 million to start the underground arena. Taking out 10 million in one go made his heart ache. But for the sake of curing his illness, he'd rather spend it like crazy in the future. He had to spend this 10 million now. All right, I'll do it then. Yao Wang nodded and took out his silver needles. He pretended to poke them into Jiang Wen's body, but in reality, he was secretly using his pure qi to seal the meridians around Jiang Wen's dog kidney. The dog kidney could only absorb nutrients, but it couldn't function as a normal kidney. From now on, Jiang Wen's kidney would live in his body like a parasite. Yao Wang didn't know if this would cause any side effects, but he didn't care. Now that Jiang Wen was cured, it wouldn't have anything to do with him if it happened again in the future. Who knew? He might even be able to collect a huge sum of money from him. Half an hour later, Yao Wang finished his work, sweating profusely. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and said weakly, "It's done, but I've used too much pure qi. I need a rest." Jiang Wen felt that his kidney wasn't hurting anymore after Yao Wang's work. It was really effective. He was overjoyed. "That's it. Thank you, Yao Wang. Thank you, Yao Wang. Wah, I've finally become a normal person with 2 kidneys." "Yeah, congratulations, Master Wen," Zhao Qibing said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. In his heart, he was cursing the kid for being an idiot. "Master Bing, I'll transfer the money to you when I get back. You won't doubt my reputation, right?" Jiang Wen came in a hurry and didn't bring any money with him. He didn't use the phone transfer service. "It doesn't matter. We are also long-term partners. I know your credibility." Zhao Qibing waved his hand. "Just transfer it back to me when you get back. You've given me quite a lot of money in the past." "No problem." Jiang Wen was thinking that he'd go back and try again to see if his kidney had recovered. If it really didn't hurt anymore, he'd transfer the money to Zhao Qibing. Now that his kidneys were healed, he remembered what Yao Wang said about Lin Yi. He asked curiously, "Master Bing, what did Yao Wang say about Lin Yi? Is he out of true qi?" "You don't know?" Zhao Qibing froze. He was the one who spread the news that Lin Yi's martial arts were crippled. Logically speaking, everyone who had a grudge against Lin Yi should have gotten the news. Why didn't Jiang Wen know? "I've been peeing blood from kidney pain these past couple of days, and I'm not in the mood to care about other things, so I'm a little out of touch with the news." Jiang Wen smiled bitterly. "I see." Master Bing nodded. He didn't hide anything and told Jiang Wen about what happened to Lin Yi and House Chu. He even told Jiang Wen about the Shao family, him, and House Yu going to Pengzhan for money. After all, it wasn't a secret. Jiang Wen only needed to ask around when he got back. Plus, Lin Yi was Jiang Wen's enemy. Telling Jiang Wen about this would make him happy and transfer the money to him as soon as possible. "Oh, so you're saying that Pengzhan has nowhere to go?" Jiang Wen asked, surprised. "Of course. This time, House Chu is done for." Zhao Qibing laughed. "But I really didn't think that House Yu would join the fun. They even took all of Pengzhan Industries' shares and made Meng Yao a concubine of House Yu. TSK, that kid from House Yu got lucky." Zhao Qibing didn't think there was anything wrong with House Yu's participation. He was going to take the real estate company anyway. House Yu might be the #1 noble house in the common world, but he didn't dare to disrespect Zhao Qibing. He was leaving Pengzhan Industries, and he was going to give the real estate company to Zhao Qibing. "Oh," Jiang Wen frowned in his heart, but on the surface, he looked regretful. "Man, if the Firewolves supported me, I'd go and get a share. But my case just came out. It's not good for me to be in the limelight. I don't think there's a chance." "Yeah, but you're really unlucky. The whole place was raided by the police. But it's good that you're fine. Where there's life, there's hope." Zhao Qibing, naturally, didn't know that Jiang Wen was thinking about other things. He thought that Jiang Wen was really sad. "Forget it. I'll go first. I'll transfer the money to you when I get back," Jiang Wen said calmly. "Take care, Master Wen." Zhao Qibing pretended to be warm as he said goodbye. Jiang Wen nodded and said goodbye to Zhao Qibing. He left the floating cloud bar. He had more important things to do. Jiang Wen wasn't an idiot. The reason why he was tricked by Pin Liang was because he thought that the kidney belonged to him. He didn't suspect anything else at all. In fact, Jiang Wen was a very cunning person. Yao Wang, did you fix it for him? Zhao Qibing couldn't help but ask after Jiang Wen left. No. Yao Wang quickly took off his jacket. Just like last time, he used his pure energy to make himself sweat. In fact, the amount of pure energy he used on Jiang Wen wasn't even as much as the amount of pure energy he used to make himself look like he was sweating. Then Zhao Qibing paused. I just made his dog kidney lose its function and sealed some of his meridians. Other than absorbing nutrients like a parasite, he can't do anything else. Yao Wang explained. Huh? Zhao Qibing heard Yao Wang's explanation and was overjoyed. That's too mean. Too mean. Haha, but I like it. That's right. Working for Master Bing. How can you get rich without being mean? Yao Wang said respectfully. Master Bing, I'll go take a shower first. I can't take it anymore. It's so hot. Go, go, you really are my god of wealth. Ha ha ha. Zhao Qibing laughed happily. His luck was really good recently. Lin Yi was done for, and his business was getting bigger and bigger. Once Pingzhan and Lin Yi were done for, Songshan would be Zhao Qibing's world. After leaving the floating cloud bar, Jiang Wen drove to Pengzhan Industries. Jiang Wen was the 5th uninvited guest that came to Pengzhan Industries today. Chapter 935. Taking Advantage. Pengzhan didn't understand when he saw Jiang Wen walk in. Was he here to take advantage of the situation as well? Jiang Wen, what are you doing here? Pengzhan frowned. He didn't seem to have any conflict with Jiang Wen, and his daughter only rejected Jiang Wen's pursuit. Uncle Chu, I'm here to help you, Jiang Wen said humbly, maintaining the attitude of a junior in front of Pengzhan. He was walking a different path, not to force Pengzhan, but to take advantage of the situation. Help me? Help me with what? Pengzhan paused and asked. Uncle Chu, you must be in a lot of trouble right now, right? So many people are looking for you. Xiao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing. You must be panicking right now, right? Jiang Wen smiled. Did you come here to make fun of me? Pengzhan was annoyed and didn't want to waste time with Jiang Wen. What do you want? Uncle Chu, don't be so distant. Don't you know who I am? I've been Yao Yao's childhood friend since we were young, and I love her so much that I came here to help when I heard you were in trouble. Jiang Wen said. How are you going to help me? Pengzhan asked patiently. Uncle Chu, the reason why things have turned out this way is because that kid Lin Yi is useless. He doesn't have any strength, and that's why your enemies came at the same time. Jiang Wen said, everyone kicks a man when he's down, and that's the logic of beating a dog when it's down. If Lin Yi hadn't lost his strength, would these people still be looking for trouble? Aren't you spouting nonsense? If Lin Yi was the same as before, why would they be looking for trouble? Pengzhan wasn't happy. Beating a dog when it's down? Are you saying that I'm a dog? But Pengzhan's temper was gone, and he didn't want to argue with Jiang Wen anymore. That's why, if you had a strong backer, wouldn't your problems be solved? Jiang Wen smiled. A powerful backer? Where's the big backer? Pengzhan hemphed impatiently. I wouldn't need you to tell me if I had a backer. It's here. Jiang Wen patted his chest disappointedly. Uncle Chu, your big support is me. You? Pengzhan frowned. Yes, you still don't know my real background, do you? Jiang Wen introduced himself proudly. Howson, we're working for the Firewolf Gang now. You must have heard of the Firewolf Gang. Naturally, Chu Pengzhan had heard of the Firewolves before. They were the biggest gang in the north, but they were rather secretive. They controlled a lot of businesses in the dark, but they never did anything personally. They were the kind of gang that people wouldn't easily know about. But Pengzhan had heard that the Firewolves were very powerful, and many big houses had to give them face. Firewolf Gang? Can you get the Firewolves to help me? Pengzhan asked. Of course not. Jiang Wen shook his head awkwardly. Then what's the point of saying this? Pengzhan felt that Jiang Wen was up to no good at this time, so he didn't give him a good face. Jiang Wen laughed dryly. But we can borrow their power. If Yao Yao marries me, Then she'll be the daughter-in-law of the Firewolves. When I show up, I believe that the Xiao family, House Yu, and even Zhao Qibing will have to give me face and give up on you. Marry you? Peng Zhan couldn't help but be amused. He finally understood what Jiang Wen was planning. So this was what he was planning, to take advantage of the situation. Yes, Jiang Wen said proudly. I'm not afraid to tell you, Uncle Chu, the Firewolves have sent another master to stay by my side, a physical practitioner at the peak of mid-phase of mystic class. House Zhao's Uncle Pai is only a mid-phase physical practitioner, and House Yu's Ubide is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. Zhao Qibing's Yao Wang is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner as well. Plus, he's an expert in medicine, so he's not even worth mentioning when it comes to actual combat. Peng Zhan froze. He didn't expect Jiang Wen to have such a master by his side. No wonder he dared to talk terms with him. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful master by your side. Peng Zhan nodded and said faintly, Yes, Uncle Chu, what do you think? As long as Yao Yao marries me, I'll announce to the public that I, Jiang Wen, am your son-in-law. Then, I'll get my mystic mid-phase physical practitioner to come out and intimidate the public. I think no one will dare disrespect me then. Jiang Wen laughed. But I'm afraid that even if I agree, Yao Yao won't. Peng Zhan, however, rejected Jiang Wen's suggestion. So, Jiang Wen, please leave. Why? Jiang Wen froze. He didn't expect Peng Zhan to reject his suggestion. When he first came here, he was full of confidence. As far as he knew, Peng Zhan was at his wit's end. Other than accepting his suggestion, only death awaited him. But Peng Zhan really rejected it. Jiang Wen panicked. Uncle Chu, what do you mean by this? Don't you want to protect Peng Zhan Industries anymore? To me, Yao Yao's happiness is more important than Peng Zhan Industries. Peng Zhan shook his head. Working with Jiang Wen was like asking a tiger for its skin. Especially after knowing Jiang Wen's dark background, Peng Zhan didn't want to work with him anymore. Plus, Yao Yao wouldn't agree to marry Jiang Wen. What was the difference between that and marrying in a House Yu? With Yao Yao's personality, she would rather die than marry in a House Yu. But even if Yao Yao doesn't marry me, she still has to marry in a House Yu. Jiang Wen said unwillingly. Could it be that Uncle Chu already has a plan? No. Peng Zhan shook his head decisively. But Yao Yao won't marry into House Yu. Jiang Wen heard Peng Zhan's words and calmed down. So Peng Zhan didn't have any other plan. So Peng Zhan's rejection must be because he was still hoping the House Yu didn't push him too far. So Peng Zhan must think that he could negotiate with House Yu again. Chapter 9:36. Chapter 9:35. Songs Han O. Peng Zhan replied faintly, his face expressionless. Actually, I do want to help House Chu, but I don't have any grudges with the Xiao family, House Yu, or Master Bing. If I don't have a reason to stand up for them, then it'll be hard for me in the future. So I can only let Yao Yao marry me. No one can say anything about it. It'll be hard on Yao Yao, but the heavens and earth can see my feelings for Yao Yao, and I'll treat her well in the future. Jiang Wen continued after seeing no response from Peng Zhan. Oh, I understand. You can leave now. Peng Zhan nodded and sent Jiang Wen away. Jiang Wen's suggestion wasn't very tempting to Peng Zhan. If Meng Yao liked Jiang Wen, then Peng Zhan would be happy to see it happen. But the problem was that his daughter didn't like Jiang Wen at all. Marrying her to Jiang Wen was the same as harming her. All right, Uncle Chu, think about it and call me anytime. Jiang Wen nodded and left Peng Zhan's office without another word. He understood that no matter what he said, he wouldn't be able to change Peng Zhan's mind so quickly. But Jiang Wen firmly believed that Peng Zhan would call him the moment he couldn't take it anymore. After all, this was Peng Zhan's only choice. It seemed like he had to think of a way to get House Yu to put more pressure on Peng Zhan, and that was the only way Peng Zhan would come to him when he had no other choice. See you out. Peng Zhan didn't like Jiang Wen taking advantage of others like this, but he couldn't say much about it. After all, Jiang Wen wasn't looking for trouble, and Peng Zhan was already very thankful. But what should he do now? Peng Zhan fell into deep thought, a little lost. Bad news came to Wanner's ears one after another, but she couldn't do anything about it at all. Although she was powerful and the palace master of the Dark Knight Palace, the Dark Knight Palace was controlled by the Great Elder. Without the Great Elder's permission, no one could go down the mountain without permission. Palace Master One Air sat uneasily in the pavilion. At this moment, she didn't have the heart to train. Her heart had already flown to Songshan City. If she could fly, she would definitely fly there. Palace Master, Elder Li is here again. Little Qing looked at the frowning Palace Master and felt very uncomfortable in her heart. However, she was only a little lass. Well, why did she have to speak? Let him in. Didn't I say that Elder Li can come in directly? Wanner heard that Elder Li had come again and quickly ordered Little Qing. On this day, she had already received several pieces of bad news. She had already asked Elder Li to keep an eye on the movements in Songshan City. Who knew if there would be any new news? I hope it's good news. Yes, Little Qing replied somewhat helplessly, but I have already let Elder Li directly come in. He was the one who asked me to inform the Palace Lord. Oh, then bring him in quickly. Palace Master Wan Air nodded. Greetings, Palace Master. Elder Li walked in under Little Qing's lead and bowed to the Palace Master. Uncle Li, didn't I tell you to come in directly? Palace Master Wan Air asked urgently. How is it over there? Miss, the rules can't be broken. I can't let people get hold of me anymore. Elder Li smiled bitterly. If I give up this little bit of power in the Dark Shadow Group, then I really won't be able to help you at all. All right, I understand. Uncle Li, you're making me anxious. How are Pengzhan and Yao Yao? Palace Master Wan Air smiled bitterly. It's still bad news. How's you want to find them too? Elder Li sighed and shook his head. How's you? Why'd they go too? Palace Master Wan Air was shocked. How did Pengzhan offend House Yu? It's not him. Young Master actually didn't offend House Yu. Elder Li said, it's Yu Kuan from House Yu. He broke into Mrs. Villa at night and injured Mrs. Pet Dog, General Weiwu. Miss was furious and asked Lin Yi to kill Yu Kuan. But because of Li Fu, Lin Yi let Yu Kuan go. But Yu Kuan was now a cripple, and so House Yu used this as an excuse to take revenge on you. Why did House Yu break into Yao Yao's villa? What do they want? Palace Master Wan Air was really angry. It's just a common world, House Yu. How dare they touch my daughter? If Grand Elder agrees and recognizes Miss, then House Yu won't dare to touch her. Elder Li smiled bitterly. Even the hidden house behind House Yu would have to think twice, not to mention House Yu, yeah. Palace Master Wan Air sighed. My poor daughter. House Yu went to Lin Yi because Lin Yi has a few pieces of the map of Sky Class Island. Elder Li said, him? He has pieces of the map? Palace Master Wan Air was surprised, but she shook her head. Let's not care about him. What did House Yu say? What do they want? House Yu proposed to let Miss marry them as a concubine and let young Master's company be part of the dowry. Elder Li sighed. What? Palace Master Wan Air stood up, shocked and angry. How can they be so shameless? How dare they? If Miss came, they wouldn't dare. Even if I came, House Yu wouldn't dare. But I can't leave the mountain. Elder Li said helplessly. The Dark Shadow Group is in charge of gathering information. There are no masters in it, no. I'll go beg Grand Elder. I can't let anything happen to him and Yao Yao. If something happens to them, what's the point of living? Palace Master Wan Air couldn't sit still anymore. If it was really like what Elder Li said, then House Chu was finished. Her daughter's life was finished. She couldn't let her daughter's life become a tragedy. She definitely couldn't. Sigh. Elder Li sighed. I'll go with Miss. Palace Master Wan Air and Elder Li walked quickly to Grand Elder's training area. As soon as they entered, Palace Master Wan Air said seriously, Grand Elder, Wan Air wants to leave the mountain. Leave the mountain? Have you broken through Sky Class? Grand Elder asked faintly, not caring about Palace Master Wan Air's anxious expression at all. No, that's why Wan Air asked Grand Elder to let me leave the mountain. If Wan Air breaks through Sky Class, then I can leave the mountain whenever I want. Palace Master Wan Air said. Chapter 9:37. begging and rejecting. I beg of you. Grand Elder, I'm begging you, let me go. Wanner didn't expect the Grand Elder to be so resolute. She couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Grand Elder, Wanner's husband's family is in trouble. I can't just leave them be. Get up. You're the Palace Master of the Dark Palace. Kneeling just like that. What's wrong with that? The Grand Elder saw how weak Wanner was and couldn't help but be furious. Why are you so different from your grandmother when she was young? If you want to leave, then show your strength. What can you achieve by crying? Kneeling in front of the enemy, do you think he'll let you go? But Grand Elder, you're not the enemy. Please let me go. I can't lose Pingzhan and Yao Yao. Wanner was still kneeling on the ground, begging. I said no, so no. The Grand Elder smiled coldly. Don't even think about it. They're in trouble. It's better if they die, lest the Sky Elixir sect laugh at us if that bastard lives. Grand Elder, no matter what, Pingzhan is my husband, and Yao Yao is my daughter. Wanner couldn't help but cry. I can't just ignore them. Husband my ass. Your husband is the second young master of the Sky Elixir sect. He's the one who gave the betrothal gifts. The Grand Elder said coldly. Look at that Pingzhan. He can't even handle a couple of clowns. He's a complete wimp. What's there to love about someone like that? Now do you see how correct and wise my eyes are? What's the use of a wimp like that? You should just die. Although the Dark Shadow Group was in the hands of Elderly, the other people in charge of the Dark Shadow Group were also people from the Supreme Elder's side. Therefore, the news from the Dark Shadow Group could be received by the Supreme Elder immediately. Wanner's grandmother had entrusted the Dark Knight Palace to the Great Elder before she passed away. She had devoted her entire life to making the Dark Knight Palace flourish. But she had never expected that the Dark Knight Palace, which was connected by marriage with the Heavenly Elixir sect, would have such a scandal like Wanner running away. Their relationship with the Heavenly Elixir sect became tense. And overnight, the Dark Knight Palace became the laughingstock of the martial arts world. The Great Elder was annoyed by Wanner's disobedience. Although he was harsh and unreasonable to her, he never thought about replacing her as the Palace Master. He only wanted to help her break through to Sky rank. From this, it could be seen that the Grand Elder was selfless. It was just that she placed the interests of the Palace of Darkness on a level that was even more important than her own life. As for the Palace of Darkness, there was no such organization as the Dark Shadow Group before. It was only after Wanner ran away from the marriage that the Great Elder and Elderly formed the Dark Shadow Group to search for Wanner. This was also the reason why the Palace of Darkness found Wanner after she got married and had a daughter in the mortal world. If the Great Elder doesn't agree, Wanner will kneel here forever. The Palace Master Wanner brought out the stubbornness she had when she ran away from the marriage. Oh, do whatever you want. Once you kneel until your lover and little bastard die, you'll get up naturally. The Grand Elder said nonchalantly. Grand Elder, let me say something. Elderly spoke up. Grand Elder, if something really happens to Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then I believe the Palace Master won't be in the mood to train anymore. It'll affect her training speed and even affect the Sky rank meeting, our Palace of Darkness ranking. Once they die, she'll naturally stop. She hasn't made any progress after all these years. Isn't it because she still hasn't satisfied her lust? The Grand Elder said coldly. I want to go down the mountain. Uncle Lee, you come with me. The Palace Master Wanner heard the Grand Elder's unwavering words and stood up suddenly. Man, Elderly paused and sighed bitterly, feeling a bit helpless. Miss, even if you want to go down the mountain, you should go back and plan with me first. Going down like this, is that even possible? As expected, the Grand Elder looked at the Palace Master Wanner as if she was a joke. Go down? Elderly, you're not going to be stupid with her, are you? Elderly smiled bitterly. I'll send the Palace Master back now. She's just a bit emotional. I'll talk to her. No need. The Grand Elder waved his hand. Men, capture the Palace Master and keep an eye on her until I say to let her out. Yes. When the highest elder finished speaking, two women dressed in the same manner as Elderly walked over. One on the left and the other on the right. They held one. Palace Master, please excuse us. These two were the same as Elderly, elders of the Dark Palace. but their skills were on par with Wanner's. It was easy for the two of them to grab one. The palace master Wanner smiled bitterly and looked at Elderly. She fainted in grief. She knew that she couldn't leave, and she regretted her impulsiveness. But even if she didn't say anything, would she be able to go down the mountain? He was afraid that the Grand Elder would find out about it before he could even make it to the bottom. Elderly sighed. He felt that he had to do something. He knew the Miss Personality very well. She looked weak, but she was actually very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly run away from the wedding without any warning and caught everyone off guard. If something really happened to Peng Zhan and Meng Yao, then the Miss wouldn't be able to live. A dog that barks doesn't bite, but a dog that bites knows how to bark. It was a crude phrase, but it made sense. The Miss was like that. Elderly, I'll be leaving first, Elderly said and turned to leave. Elderly, you've watched Wanner grow up. Go and accompany her, talk to her. The Grand Elder sighed. She was afraid that Wanner would do something extremely stupid and catch everyone off guard, so she asked Elderly to watch over her. On the other hand, the Grand Elder was also afraid that Elderly would make some private decisions and arrange things on his own that, okay. Elderly naturally understood the Grand Elder's meaning and nodded his head helplessly. From the looks of it, he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to. With the other two elders watching, Elderly really didn't have the chance to do anything. Son-in-law, little miss, I hope you can safely get through this calamity. Linny, I have high hopes for you. I've always treated your appearance as an opportunity for the Miss and Miss to meet. Although I haven't figured out your background yet, it doesn't stop me from having a premonition. Chapter 938. Chapter 937. Old Chu's attitude tonight was the day Linny left, but it was already very late. Peng Zhan didn't go home, but sat in the chairman's office in Peng Zhan's skyscraper. Smoking, Peng Zhan didn't go to see Linny off, because he didn't want to tell Lin Yi about what happened in the company and put the pressure on Lin Yi. This pressure should be shouldered by himself, not Lin Yi. Peng Zhan wasn't a heavy smoker, but the cigarette butts in the ashtray on the desk had already piled up into a small hill. Some of the butts had even fallen onto the desk, and the ash was everywhere. But Peng Zhan didn't have the mood to clean up the cigarette butts and ash. His mind was completely focused on Peng Zhan Industries and Yao Yao's future. He could give up on Peng Zhan Industries, but he couldn't give up on his beloved daughter. Peng Zhan was a person who valued relationships, and he was the polar opposite of those who valued their career. Some people could sacrifice their children's happiness for their career, forcing them to marry someone they didn't like. But Peng Zhan, for the sake of his children's happiness, was willing to give up on everyone. Peng Zhan felt like he was going to die. If some things could be solved with death, then he would rather die. But not now, he couldn't die. Even if he died, he couldn't change Meng Yao's fate. From Xiao family's words, he could hear some leeway, and Zhao Qibing's request was the most reasonable one. It wasn't an exorbitant demand, but it was still within an acceptable range for Peng Zhan. But House Yu's request was a little overboard. Not only did they take away the company's shares, but they also wanted Yao Yao to be a concubine of House Yu. If Meng Yao was willing to be someone else's concubine, then Peng Zhan would let it go. But the situation now was that Yao Yao couldn't marry in a House Yu. Peng Zhan knew his daughter's personality too well, and if she was forced, she would rather die. Looking at the time, Lin, he should have left already, right? Peng Zhan, in his helplessness, made his final decision. After hesitating for a while, he dialed his father's number. Peng Zhan really didn't want his father to worry about him anymore. His father was retired, and he should be enjoying his life, but Peng Zhan kept troubling him with company matters. This time, the Chu family had reached an extremely critical moment. If they didn't think of a solution, the Chu family might very well perish. If House Yu wanted Meng Yao to marry into their family, would Peng Zhan have to put on a wedding dress for his daughter? Peng Zhan, are you very distressed now? Old Master Chu picked up the phone and asked calmly. Father, you know what happened here? Peng Zhan paused. I know a little. Although you are the chairman of the company, don't forget that I founded Peng Zhan Industries. I have eyes and ears in the company, Old Master Chu said. Father, what should I do now? Pengzhan Industries is finished. The Xiao family, Zhao Qibing, and House, you are all here. In an instant, it seems like all the forces have gathered in Songshan, and all of them are coming for me. Pengzhan heard that his father knew what happened here, and he opened his heart and poured out his heart. I'm really powerless. I don't know what to do. Pengzhan Industries, if they want it, just give it to them. You might know a little, but when I was young, I ran a company, but because of my lack of experience, it went bankrupt. Old Master Chu smiled and consoled. And Pengzhan Industries is my second business. When I founded Pengzhan Industries, I was already as old as you are now. So, even if I fail this time, there's still a chance in the future. Father, I can give up on Pengzhan Industries, but I can't give up on Yao Yao's happiness. I can't let her marry into House Yu. It'll ruin her life. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. And you know Yao Yao's temperament, she'd rather die than marry into House Yu. Why does she have to marry into House Yu? Old Master Chu smiled. Didn't I tell you to marry her to Lin? Oh. Pengzhan froze and smiled bitterly. Lin Yi's martial arts are all crippled, and he's going back to his hometown to find a way to recover his strength. I tried to persuade him to stay, wanting him to be my son-in-law, using Pengzhan Industries as a dowry for Yao Yao to marry him. But he rejected. Pengzhan, your thinking was wrong from the start. Pengzhan Industries is nothing to Lin Yi. So, you need to look further. Don't worry about the benefits in front of you. Old Master Chu said. Did you forget what I told you before? It's us, House Chu, who's trying to get on Lin Yi's good side. He's not trying to take our property. I didn't forget. I remember that. So I've always been kind to Lin Yi, treating him as one of our own. Pengzhan said humbly. Then, what's the problem in front of you? Old Master Chu smiled. Pengzhan didn't understand what his father meant. Keeping Lin Yi is more important than keeping the company. Old Master Chu said. You mean? Pengzhan paused, understanding his father's meaning, but he wasn't too sure. Isn't Lin Yi going back to his hometown to seek refuge? You could just take Yao Yao with him. Old Master Chu smiled. If Lin Yi doesn't want to stay, you'll send Yao Yao to him. But Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Plus, his girlfriend is going back with him. It's not a good idea for Yao Yao and me to follow him, right? Pengzhan felt like he was being a rascal. Who told you to follow him? Old Master Chu asked back. Don't tell him first. Wait for him to leave. Then you and Yao Yao will follow him. He can't kick you out when you arrive. Can he? Is that so? Pengzhan said, but isn't that a little rascal? Besides, Lin Yi has a girlfriend. If Yao Yao goes like this, wouldn't she be the concubine? Although Pengzhan could accept Tang Yun because of his daughter, and he made it clear in his conversation with Lin Yi, that was based on the situation where Lin Yi married Meng Yao. That way, his daughter would be the leader, and as for Tang Yun, as long as his daughter didn't say anything, Pengzhan naturally wouldn't say anything. But now, following Lin Yi back, wouldn't that be weaker than Tang Yun? HM, then do you want Yao Yao to be a concubine for House Yu or a concubine for Lin Yi? Old Master Chu asked. Chapter 9:39. All good things must come to an end, but remember, you have to be discreet when you leave, and you have to leave before Xiao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing find you. Once they find you, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Old Chu reminded. I understand, father. Pengzhan nodded. Lil, you should have left already. I'll go pack up and follow him with Yao Yao tonight. House Chu's villa. Lin, he didn't have much luggage. Only a small bag with a few sets of clothes the miss gave him, as well as the Waniankin box he got from the auction, and the 2 pieces of map that he didn't know what they were for these 2 days. Lin, he tried his best to avoid seeing Meng Yao and Yushu. He wasn't a plant or a tree. He couldn't be emotionless. Lin, he had feelings for the miss and Shu. Or rather, it was more or less the same as Tang Yun. After all, the daily interactions had made Linny fall in love with these 2 girls. One was cold on the outside, but warm on the inside, and the other was dumb on the outside, but not dumb on the inside. But, no matter if Lin, you want to face it or not, the day of parting had finally come. In the living room, Meng Yao and Yushu watched Lin pack up his luggage. They sat on the sofa quietly, a little sad. Yao Yao sis, is Shield Bro really leaving? Yushu's eyes reddened again. Her tone this time was different from usual. There wasn't the playful tone anymore. It was a little depressed. Yes, he's leaving. Meng Yao nodded. So it's true. This day has really come. Yushu sighed. Yeah, it's true. Meng Yao nodded again. Yao Yao sis, I want to go with him. Yushu said suddenly. What are you talking about? How can you go with him? Meng Yao shook her head with a smile. We're about to take the college entrance exam. Are we not going to take it? Aren't we going to school? Oh. Yushu nodded. Let's go. We'll go see if Lin Yi needs any help. Meng Yao stood up and walked towards Lin Yi's bedroom. Meng Yao used to hate this bedroom. Whenever Lin Yi was there, she would avoid it. She didn't know when it started, but this feeling had changed. She had gotten used to Lin Yi's existence, and this room was Lin Yi's. Meng Yao had already treated Lin Yi as a part of the villa, and was used to the happiness she felt when Lin Yi was around. Lin Yi, do you need our help? Meng Yao asked as she stood at the door, staring at Lin Yi's back. Lin Yi smiled. It's fine. I don't have much luggage. I only have the clothes you gave me. I'll take them with me. Meng Yao felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to cry. Lin Yi didn't forget to take the clothes she gave him. Meng Yao was touched. Will you think of me and Shu? Meng Yao asked. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. It'll be a beautiful memory. I'll cherish it for the rest of my life. Me too. Meng Yao mustered up her courage and whispered. Me too. Yushu said. Shield Bro, you can't forget me. I can't forget you even if I forget Yao Yao. Lin Yi smiled. Oomph. The mist didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Lin Yi's words. All right, I'm leaving, Lin Yi said as he picked up his luggage from the bed, turned around, and walked towards the door. However, the Miss and Yushu stood at the door. They didn't move away from Lin Yi. All good things must come to an end, right? Lin Yi smiled. My duty is over. Don't be so unprepared when the new bodyguard comes. It's easy for me to go upstairs. Just be careful of him stealing the miss. You jerk. Meng Yao blushed. She glared at Lin Yi. She wanted to say, why don't you come up then? But she couldn't say it. This wasn't a joke. How could she laugh when Lin Yi was leaving? Haha. Take care of yourself. General Wei Wu can be trusted. It's very powerful. It can handle normal enemies. Lin Yi nodded to the Mississippi. Meng Yao knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. She couldn't block the door and stop Lin Yi from leaving. She pulled Shu to the side, but her heart was sad. Lin Yi put on his backpack and walked out of his room, but paused for a second as he walked to the villa's entrance. He felt sad. This was the mission that he missed the most, but it was also the mission that he failed the most. Shield Bro. Yushu called Lin Yi suddenly. Lin Yi turned around and looked at Yushu. What's wrong, Shu? Will you come back after you recover your strength? Back to the villa? Yushu asked. If I recover to a higher level than before, I will come back. Lin Yi nodded and said. But Lin Yi knew that it would be difficult. He said it to comfort Yushu. External martial arts were different from spiritual martial arts. Once external martial arts reached a certain level, there would be a bottleneck. This bottleneck was 100 times harder to break than the bottleneck of spiritual martial arts. If one wanted to practice external martial arts and reach a higher level than before, he would need to be at least mystic mid-phase. Yushu nodded. Then it's a deal. If you recover to a higher level than before, you have to stay in the villa forever with me and Yao Yao sis. It's a deal. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. I want a pinky promise. Yushu ran over and stuck out her pinky. Okay. Lin Yi helplessly made a pinky promise with Yushu and even stamped. Pinky promise for 100 years. Whoever changes will be General Wei Wu. Yushu said. Lin Yi nodded. It was time for him to leave. Goodbye Songzong, goodbye Villa, goodbye those people he was familiar with. Woof woof. General Wei Wu seemed to feel the sad atmosphere and barked at Lin Yi. Ha! General Wei Wu, protect Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was very confident in this highly intelligent Golden Division dog. It had a high IQ and could probably understand his conversation with Yao Yao and Shu. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such a strong reaction when Lin Yi went out every day. Woof woof. General Weiwu quickly ran to Lin Yi and jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Chapter 940. Meridian Repair. A familiar energy flowed into Lin Yi's body rapidly. Just when the energy entered Lin Yi's body, Lin Yi's muscles contracted and his pores opened up, greedily absorbing the energy. Lin Yi's body was like a sponge that had lost its water. Once he entered the water, he started to absorb the energy crazily. This was his own energy. Lin Yi was too familiar with this feeling. At this moment, Lin Yi was like a drop of water falling into the embrace of the ocean. He couldn't help but moan in comfort. As the energy flowed into his body, Lin Yi's damaged meridians started to repair themselves rapidly. Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at General Weiwu with surprise and joy. General Weiwu seemed to be in pain, but it didn't run away. It was still lying in Lin Yi's arms. Sometimes one could walk all over the place, only to find it effortlessly by chance. The energy in General Weiwu's body, wasn't it his own energy? Just when Lin Yi was troubled by the lack of energy in his body and couldn't repair his meridians, Lin Yi forgot that General Weiwu, strictly speaking, was his master's dog. General Weiwu's energy was his energy, so he could use it on himself without any problem. Don't disturb me. Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain to Meng Yao and Yushu anymore. He carried General Weiwu into his room and locked the door. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were confused by Lin Yi's sudden action. Yao sis, what's wrong with Shield Bro? Yushu looked at the closed door and asked curiously. I don't know. Meng Yao shook her head. She was puzzled as well. What was Lin Yi doing? They were about to leave, but he suddenly carried General Weiwu into his room. What was he trying to do? Did Shield Bro see General Weiwu and can't bear to leave? Yao, are you telling me that our relationship isn't as deep as General Weiwu and Shield Bro's? Yushu's tone suddenly turned bitter. Meng Yao didn't know how to answer because she really didn't know what Lin Yi was doing with General Weiwu. But why did he close the door? Did he want to do something to General Weiwu before he left? But that's not right. General Weiwu is a male. Yushu asked curiously, Oh, is Shield Bro gay? Shu, what are you thinking? His thoughts are so complicated. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. The girl was getting more and more out of line. Do you want a beating? I don't. Yushu stuck her tongue out and shut her mouth. Since he doesn't want us to disturb him, then let's not disturb him. Meng Yao was panicking. General Weiwu was much stronger than before, and she knew that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts, so he was no different from an ordinary person. Meng Yao was afraid that General Weiwu jumped on Lin Yi and used too much force when Lin Yi wasn't prepared, causing Lin Yi to be injured. That was why he couldn't wait to heal himself in his room. However, Meng Yao was afraid that Shu would be worried if she said it out loud. It was just a guess. What if it wasn't the truth? Lin Yi went back to his room and sat cross-legged on the bed. He closed his eyes and enjoyed the energy that came from General Weiwu's body to nourish his injured meridians. On Lin Yi's face, there was an expression of comfort and pain. At this moment, Lin Yi was in pain and happiness at the same time. Lin Yi, who had become an ordinary person, couldn't stand the surging energy from General Weiwu entering his body. However, when the energy entered his body and healed his meridians, Lin Yi felt extremely comfortable. Inside Lin Yi's body, the meridians were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fu dash. Lin Yi took a deep breath. One of the main meridians in his body had healed itself under General Weiwu's energy. Lin Yi's face showed an expression of relief. It was time. It was finally time. He didn't have to hide anymore. Lin Yi wasn't completely clueless about the things that happened in Songzhan these 2 days. How could Lin Yi not know that all the major forces were looking for trouble with Chu Pengzhan at the same time? Fatty Lai was also a businessman. How could he not know? He just didn't know the details of the conditions. But what could Lin Yi do even if he knew? Lin Yi was still helpless. Other than finding a way to recover his strength, there was no other way. Of course, Lin Yi only thought that these forces were only after Chu Pengzhan's assets. Although he was depressed, he didn't say anything. After all, whatever they lost today, Lin Yi would definitely come back and make them pay with their own hands. Lin Yi just remembered that the energy he used to heal his meridians came from General Wei Wu. Lin Yi was shocked. He opened his eyes and looked at General Wei Wu, who was in his arms. He saw that General Wei Wu's face was filled with pain. Its already ugly face was twitching. It was terrifying. This energy originally belonged to Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally knew how much energy was needed to heal a meridian. Now that all of it came from General Wei Wu's body, could it withstand it? With that thought, Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to put General Wei Wu down. But something strange happened again. General Wei Wu seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body and couldn't let go at all. The energy in its body was still pouring into Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face froze. What was going on? Lin Yi suddenly remembered that when he was treating Xiao Xiao, a similar situation happened. The energy in his body suddenly leaked out uncontrollably. With that in mind, Lin Yi had a pretty good idea of what was going on. If he didn't seal some of the acupuncture points in the recipient's body, the energy in his body would be sent to the recipient uncontrollably. Didn't something similar happen when he was treating General Wei Wu? In order to avoid wasting energy, Lin Yi had to seal some of Bojia's acupoints with silver needles before treating him. However, that was based on the fact that he was using the art of dragon mastery. Only then would the energy be transferred from his body to the recipient. But General Wei Wu didn't know the art of dragon mastery, so how did he control the energy in his body? Could it be that it was only because it was a tall dog that he had modified so it resonated with his body, resulting in this effect? Chapter 941. Dog of the same Master General Wei Wu in front of him seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. In the end, he couldn't even open his eyes. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as the energy from General Wei Wu's body flowed into his body and continued to repair his damaged meridians. As time passed, Lin Yi could clearly feel that the energy inside General Wei Wu's body was getting weaker and weaker. The energy that flowed into his body wasn't as strong as before. He wasn't sure if it was because the repair of his meridians increased his endurance or General Wei Wu was really dying. General Wei Wu, I hope you can hold on. Thank you for helping me get through this. Once I recover my strength, I will help you recover your strength too. The energy was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, there wasn't a single drop left. General Wei Wu separated from Lin Yi's body and collapsed on Lin Yi's bed. He didn't know if he was dead or alive. Phew! Lin Yi could clearly feel the energy in his body. He recovered. He really recovered. Although the meridians in his body weren't completely healed, and even if they were healed, the energy stored in them was still very weak. But Lin Yi knew that he wasn't far from recovering his strength. This feeling was really comfortable. Lin Yi took a deep breath and hugged General Wei Wu. He placed it in his arms and entered the space of the jade pendant. This way, once Lin Yi's meridians were all repaired, there would be extra energy. Then, when Lin Yi activated the art of dragon mastery, the energy would be continuously transferred to General Wei Wu's body. This way, he could ensure that General Wei Wu could be healed in the shortest time possible. Lin Yi was afraid that he wouldn't be able to heal General Wei Wu in time after he fully recovered his strength. The advantage of this was that he could provide energy to General Wei Wu first. After General Wei Wu recovered his strength, he could recover his own strength. Jiao Lao, my meridians are repaired. As soon as Lin Yi entered the space of a jade pendant, he couldn't wait to enter the cultivation state and activate the art of dragon mastery. Jiao Yazi glanced at Lin Yi, but he didn't want to disturb him. It wouldn't be too late to talk about it after he finished cultivating. The energy in the space of the jade pendant was instantly mobilized by Lin Yi and surged madly into Lin Yi's body. However, the energy in the jade space was more than 100 times stronger than the energy that came from General Wei Wu. Fortunately, Lin Yi's meridians were almost fully repaired. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a terrifying surge of energy. A strange flush appeared on Lin Yi's face. This was a sign that his body was gradually recovering. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body seemed to have started this self-healing process at the same time. This was many times faster than using General Wei Wu's energy to repair his meridians one by one. The energy in the space of the jade pendant seemed to be endless and inexhaustible. Lin, he was like a person who just came back from the desert and desperately needed water. He greedily absorbed the energy in the space for his own use. As the endless energy surged into his body, Lin Yi's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened and joy appeared on his rosy cheeks. It was repaired. It was really repaired. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body were healed. His meridians could once again store energy like before. After the joy, Lin Yi didn't stop. He closed his eyes again and continued to use the art of dragon mastery. The energy in the space of the jade pendant continued to flow into Lin Yi's body. However, because Lin Yi's body was hugging General Wei Wu, who was about to die, and Lin Yi was using the art of dragon mastery, the energy that flowed into Lin Yi's body didn't stay in Lin Yi's body. Instead, it stopped after the meridians were repaired and used Lin Yi's body as a medium. The energy was sucked into Lin Yi's body from the space of the jade pendant. After completing the conversion process, it flowed into General Wei Wu's body. Therefore, Lin Yi could finally take a break from his busy schedule. The energy wasn't absorbed by Lin Yi, so Lin Yi could open his eyes and speak. Phew, Lin Yi let out a long breath. Ever since he was injured, he had never felt so good. Seeing that Lin Yi opened his eyes again, Jiao Yazi looked at Lin Yi strangely. Little Lin Yi, why didn't you continue your cultivation? No, you're still absorbing energy. No, but all the energy that I absorbed is given to General Wei Wu first. It's just beside me. Lin Yi felt refreshed, and his body was filled with the passion of battle. I didn't expect you to recover your strength in this situation. I was careless and forgot that you have a dog from the same sect. Jiao Yazi exclaimed. If I remembered it earlier, your meridians wouldn't have been repaired until now. Oh yeah, Jiao Lao, I want to ask, why can I use the energy in General Wei Wu's body? Lin Yi asked curiously, but the energy in my body can only be released after I use the art of dragon mastery. Hee, that's because you're different from that dog. Its strength comes entirely from you, not from itself. Jiao Yazi seemed to know that Lin Yi would ask this question. He laughed and said, so, it can only be called a yellow class inner chi master dog. Yellow class inner chi master dog? Lin Yi repeated this nondescript name and looked at Jiao Yazi confusedly. What does that mean? It's simple. It's the same as other golden class inner chi masters. It has the strength of a golden class inner chi master, but it doesn't know how to cultivate. It can't absorb energy by itself, and it can't level up by itself. To put it bluntly, it's a master that you created. It will be the same as you created it in the future, Jiao Yazi explained. As for why the energy in its body suddenly surged back into your body, that's even simpler. Because it was created by you, all the energy in its body comes from you. It's like you're placing your energy in its body. When you don't need it, it can borrow your energy to become a golden class dog. But when you need it, you can take it back at will. Chapter 942. Lin Yi was shocked. This was a passive skill. When he used it, both he and General Wei Wu would be in a passive state and couldn't be controlled. But isn't the energy in my body omnipotent? If my opponent is injured, will he absorb the energy in General Wei Wu's body? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a scary possibility and asked, if this skill was passive, then when others needed energy, would today's scene also happen? No, Jiao Yazi said something in English. Why not? Lin Yi didn't understand. The art of dragon mastery is actually an omnipotent chant for energy conversion. You can use this chant to absorb the energy in nature and the space in the jade pendant into your body and convert it into the form of pure energy that you need and store it in your body. Jiao Yazi explained, other people's kung fu is different from yours, so the type of pure energy they need is different too. The energy in your body is called omnipotent because you can use the art of dragon mastery to convert it into any type of energy you need. That's why you can save injured people. But General Weiwu doesn't know the art of dragon mastery. The energy in its body will always be your own energy. Other than you, no one else can use it because it can't convert it. I see. Lin, he suddenly understood the logic behind it. No wonder General Weiwu's energy didn't need to use the art of dragon mastery to convert it. It was because it was its own energy. General Weiwu didn't cultivate pure energy before, so whatever Lin Yi lost to it was what it was. But it was different for others. Lin Yi's pure energy couldn't be used without the art of dragon mastery. Luckily you held back, or else we'd be in trouble this time. Jiao Yazi sighed, but everything has its own destiny. It's good that you can get through this successfully. But with General Weiwu, I have another trump card to protect my life. It seems like I can still use the true energy bomb. Lin Yi smiled coldly. With this trump card, he could fight against opponents who were a few levels higher than him. But it's better if you don't use it if you can. Jiao Yazi shook his head. Huh? Lin Yi was startled, as if he was splashed with cold water. First, if it doesn't explode properly and explode into your heart or brain, you won't have to wait for the dog to get energy. You'll die immediately. Jiao Yazi said. Lin Yi nodded with a bitter smile. It was true that this chi bomb was very dangerous. It was the type of bomb that harmed others without benefiting himself. It was basically a sure kill attack that would take the enemy down with itself. Second, if you can't kill your opponent in one blow, he'll kill you. Jiao Yazi said, so I advise you to increase your strength through cultivation. Don't use such unorthodox methods unless you have no other choice. I understand. Lin Yi nodded. You're right. Only by increasing your strength is true strength. It's fine to use these methods when you have no other choice, but if you keep using them, you'll be harming yourself and others. It's good that you've thought it through. Jiao Yazi smiled and nodded. General Weiwu, who was beside Lin Yi, was rapidly absorbing the energy from Lin Yi's body. It snuggled comfortably next to Lin Yi, enjoying the nourishment of the energy. Before this, General Weiwu's heart almost exploded from fear. It was just reluctant to leave Lin Yi and wanted to be close to Lin Yi for the last time. However, it didn't expect that once it touched Lin Yi's body, the energy in General Weiwu's body was uncontrollably absorbed by Lin Yi. Although General Weiwu didn't know what was going on, it was instinctively afraid. Previously, it obtained an unknown energy from Lin Yi, which made it extremely strong. It could kill a person with one kick. Now that the energy returned to Lin Yi's body, how could it not be afraid? However, General Weiwu didn't think of struggling to escape. Although it was afraid, when it saw Lin Yi's inexplicably comfortable expression, it knew that what happened now was probably beneficial to Lin Yi. General Weiwu was a loyal dog. Its life was saved by Lin Yi, and its strength was given by Lin Yi. Therefore, if Lin Yi wanted to take it back, he could take it back any time. General Weiwu was afraid, but it didn't complain. Therefore, General Weiwu persisted until the last bit of energy entered Lin Yi's body before it fainted. It didn't know if it could survive, but if Lin Yi could recover, he could protect Yao Yao and Shu. After some time, General Weiwu woke up again. What surprised it was that the familiar energy that could increase its strength was continuously flowing into its body from Lin Yi's body. This was similar to the first time he received the energy, but this time, Lin Yi was lying down as if he was in a deep sleep. General Weiwu subconsciously thought that it absorbed the energy that entered Lin Yi's body. It wanted to jump away, but it realized that it couldn't. Its body seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body. General Weiwu was shocked, but when it saw that Lin Yi's face was rosy and there was nothing wrong with him, it laid down quietly and accepted the energy that came from Lin Yi's body. After some time, General Weiwu started to feel uncomfortable because it could clearly feel that the energy in its body was almost full, but the energy that came from Lin Yi's body was still flowing into its body. Boom! General Weiwu was furious. It felt like it was going to explode from Lin Yi's energy. The next moment, it fainted beside Lin, not knowing what was going on anymore. This time, Lin Yi, who was in the jade space, was shocked. He didn't know how much energy General Weiwu needed to recover, so he kept sending energy to it. As long as it could receive the energy, he would pour it in. In the end, he didn't control the amount and caused General Weiwu to explode. Chapter 943. Run together because General Weiwu leveled up. General Weiwu, who was a golden class early phase dog, leveled up several times. It became a golden class late phase peak dog. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Seriously? Just because he lost all his strength, he became a golden class late phase peak dog when he infused his energy into General Weiwu's body again. It was even stronger than Lingshan? Are you kidding me? I can just casually create a dog with the strength of the peak of the golden class. How can those masters of the golden class endure this? However, Lin Yi didn't have time to think about it. He entered the training space once he knew that General Weiwu was fine. He couldn't wait to recover his strength. Plus, General Weiwu could level up after going through the process. But what about Lin Yi? It seemed like every time he leveled up, he would be injured or his energy would be sucked dry. Once all the energy entered his body, he would be able to break through the bottleneck of the next level. Lin Yi had never heard of this method of leveling up, but it was effective for him and General Weiwu. Lin Yi entered the jade space and activated the art of dragon mastery again. The energy entered Lin Yi's body again, but this time, it was all for Lin Yi's own use. Lin Yi could even feel the feeling of fullness when the energy filled up his meridians. It was extremely comfortable. When Pingzhan returned to the villa, he saw Meng Yao and Yushu sitting on the sofa in the living room, spacing out. They weren't watching TV, nor were they doing anything else. They were just spacing out. Meng Yao, Shu. Pingzhan walked in. Did Lin Yi leave already? Pingzhan thought that Lin Yi had left the villa, and his daughter and Shu were a little sad. They were spacing out on the sofa. Daddy, you're back. Meng Yao snapped out of her daze and looked up at Pingzhan. And Daddy's back. Pingzhan's heart ached as he looked at his tired daughter. He hadn't been able to give her a happy life. Although Meng Yao didn't lack anything in terms of material goods, he still owed her too much in terms of kinship. The child had lost her mother since she was young, and Pingzhan had been busy with his career, so he didn't have time to take care of her. In the blink of an eye, she was already so big. Pingzhan never really understood what his daughter's life was like. And so, this time, Pingzhan had made up his mind. No matter what, he would help his daughter find her own happiness. He would accompany his daughter to escape with Lin Yi. Daddy, Lin Yi didn't leave. He's in his room. Meng Yao didn't know how to explain, as she didn't know why Lin Yi didn't leave and went back to his room all of a sudden. Oh, little Yi didn't leave? Doesn't he have a train at 6 tonight? It's already 7. If he didn't leave, he wouldn't be able to catch the train. Pingzhan paused as he looked at his watch. I don't know, this is what happened. Meng Yao told her father about the weird things that happened before Lin Yi left. Yeah, it's weird. Shield Bro and General Weiwu have been in the room for more than 4 hours, and they still haven't come out. I wonder what they're doing? Yushu added. Oh, what's little Yi doing? Could it be that his injuries are acting up? Pingzhan frowned. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's personality, normal things wouldn't affect his schedule. Yeah, I'm worried too. Meng Yao nodded, her face showing an anxious expression. General Weiwu is very strong, but Lin Yi is a normal person now. I'm afraid that General Weiwu will kick Lin Yi hard like before. It might injure Lin Yi badly. I see. Pingzhan's face turned serious after hearing Meng Yao's analysis. If that was the case, then it was hard to say. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi suddenly change his mind and run into the room in a hurry before leaving? Will Shield Bro be in danger? Yushu panicked after hearing Meng Yao's words. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any danger. Otherwise, Lin, you would definitely tell us to do something. Meng Yao shook her head. He only told us not to disturb him. Maybe he can heal himself. And it seems like we can only wait for him here. Peng Zhan sighed. That's great. When Lily wakes up, we can leave together. Leave together? Meng Yao was slightly taken aback as she looked at her father, not understanding. Yeah, Daddy has decided to bring you and Lily back to his old home to seek refuge. Peng Zhan smiled. Return to his old home to seek refuge? Meng Yao was taken aback as she repeated. We're going back too? What about your company? You don't want it anymore? I don't want to go to school anymore. Yao Yao, Daddy has already made up his mind, so I won't hide it from you anymore. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. These few days, Daddy hasn't been having a good time either. Little E is injured, and after Daddy's enemies found out about it, they've come looking for me. Meng Yao was shocked. They got the news so quickly? What do they want from you? The first wave is from Yinjing's Xiao family. They're using the fact that you humiliated Xiao family's daughter-in-law, Go Huli, to ask me to give them 200 million as compensation, along with Pengzhan Commercial Building and Pengzhan Hotel. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. He was going to leave anyway, and the company was about to be abandoned. There was no harm in telling Yao Yao. Go Huli, I understand. Is it because of me? Meng Yao's face was filled with guilt after hearing her father's words. Daddy, it's all my fault. Haha, it's not your fault. Xiao family is considered to be down and out among the noble houses, but a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. They wanted to come to Songshan and look for trouble. What happened to you was just an excuse. Why would Daddy blame you? Besides, Little Lee said that it's not our fault. Peng Zhan smiled, not caring at all. Chapter 944. Taylor made Meng Yao knew that it wasn't her and Shu's fault. This was just an excuse to make things difficult for the Xiao family. Without this excuse, perhaps the Xiao family could find other excuses. The second wave of people was Zhao Qibing's men. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. My grudge with Zhao Qibing has been going on for a long time. He sent people to kidnap you many times and even try to kill you and Shu at the theme park. Little E suppressed him, but now that Little E is in trouble, he'll naturally retaliate. But his appetite isn't that big, and he only asked for the real estate company under Pengzhan Industries. Meng Yao nodded. How come she didn't know about Zhao Qibing? This person had a huge grudge with her family, with Lin Yi. She wouldn't believe it if he didn't come looking for her now. The third wave of people was from Yinjing's House Yu. Peng Zhan continued. House Yu? Who are they? Meng Yao felt that the name was familiar, but she didn't know where she heard of this family. House Yu once broke into your villa and injured General Wei Wu. Have you forgotten? Peng Zhan reminded. At that time, you were agitated and asked Little E to kill the murderer, but Little E showed mercy and let him live. Then why didn't he thank Lin Yi? Why did he come looking for trouble? Meng Yao was reminded of Yu Kuan when her father reminded her. Yu Kuan's arrogant expression was still vivid in her mind. Thinking about it made Meng Yao feel uncomfortable. What's the point of reasoning with him? Peng Zhan sighed and shook his head. House Yu's conditions are even more ridiculous this time. Not only do they want you to marry in a House Yu's family, but they also want Yu Kuan, who is injured by Little E, as a concubine, and all of Pengzhan Industries' shares as dowry. Why? Meng Yao stood up angrily. I'm not marrying into their family. Yeah, that's why we can't fight them, but we can hide from them. Peng Zhan smiled. That's why I'm going to escape with you and Little E. Meng Yao's heart skipped a beat when she heard her father's decision. Meng Yao couldn't help but curse inwardly. Her family was being pressured to this extent. What was there for her to be happy about? They were going to flee for their lives. But Meng Yao was still a little happy. How can they be so arrogant? Daddy, can't we call the police? Rationally, Meng Yao told herself that she couldn't leave. After all, Pengzhan Industries was her father's blood, sweat, and tears. How could she just give it up like that? These noble houses, many of their ways of doing things are outside of the laws. It's useless even if we call the police. They're only planning a crime. They haven't actually carried it out. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. Plus, they might kill us to vent their anger if we anger them, and they might even use some illegal methods to rob us of our assets. Meng Yao was startled. She didn't know how powerful these noble houses were, but from her father's words, she could roughly understand that even if these noble houses really did do something to her, they wouldn't be in any trouble. At most, they would have a scapegoat to take the blame. So, we can only flee for our lives. We'll have to give our assets to them eventually, but are you going to marry in a house, you? Peng Zhan asked. I don't want to. Meng Yao shook her head. How could she marry in a house, you? That's right, so we'll wait for Lin Yi to come out, and then we'll leave Songshan together. We don't want anything here. Peng Zhan was a man who did big things. He left decisively, not even touching the company's money. He didn't want to alert his enemies, and they wouldn't be able to escape. This way, no one would think that Peng Zhan would leave Songshan with Meng Yao without taking a single cent with him. All right, Meng Yao nodded, pleased with herself. Oh, bring me, I want to go too. Yushu didn't want to do it. Yao Yao was leaving with Shield Bro. What was the point of her staying here alone? Okay, I'll bring you. Meng Yao didn't want me separated from Shu, so she nodded and agreed. Peng Zhan looked at Yushu, wanting to say something, but didn't say anything in the end. It was her own choice, and he couldn't interfere. Thinking of his father's words, Peng Zhan understood. It was House Chu who'd climbed up to Lin Yi, not Lin Yi who'd climbed up to House Chu. Jiang Wen waited for a whole day and didn't get any calls from Peng Zhan. He couldn't help but start panicking, cursing in his heart. What were Peng Zhan's enemies doing? Hurry up and continue pressuring Peng Zhan. If you don't pressure him and he doesn't get nervous, how can he ask for my help? Jiang Wen couldn't take it anymore, so he secretly sent a message to House Yu Shuaixing, saying that Peng Zhan was escaping and was secretly moving his assets. He asked him to go check it out. The reason why he didn't send the message to Xiao family and Zhao Qibing was because they only asked for money and assets from Peng Zhan. They hadn't touched Peng Zhan's bottom line yet. Peng Zhan would only think of resisting if someone wanted to touch Meng Yao. This was just a random excuse Jiang Wen came up with, and the goal was for House Yu to pressure Peng Zhan. But Jiang Wen didn't think that he'd be able to hit the nail on the head with his random words. Although Peng Zhan didn't move his assets, he was really planning to escape. In this critical period, House Yu would rather believe it than not. They were afraid that Peng Zhan would run away with the assets, and it would be troublesome to find him. This was a big country, and he might even escape to a foreign country, making it even harder to find him. And so, House Yu decided to go to Peng Zhan first thing in the morning. If Peng Zhan didn't agree, they'd just rob him. Under the situation where House Chu didn't have any masters, wouldn't they be at their mercy? They'd just make him sign a share transfer agreement and bring Meng Yao back to Yanjing's House Yu. And this trip would be worth it. What made House Yu feel regretful was that the power behind Lin Yi didn't show up these 2 days. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and everything was just House Yu's guess? But this was even better. House Yu could deal with House Chu with even more impunity. After dealing with House Chu, Lin Yi's death was the only thing that awaited him. Lin Yi was just a normal person, and killing him would be a piece of cake. With that thought, Yu Bide couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi to avenge his son. Chapter 945. He must stay. Third uncle. Why don't the hidden power behind Lin Yi come out when House Chu's in this state? Are they giving up on Peng Zhan? Yu Haitian asked Yu Bide, confused. This, I'm not too sure. My analysis is that Lin Yi doesn't have any background at all. So I suggest that we go to Peng Zhan's house later and kill Lin Yi. Yu Bide hated Lin Yi to the bone. He came here to avenge his son, but for the benefit of the house, he didn't dare to do it directly. But now, Peng Zhan was forced into a corner, and the power behind Lin Yi hadn't come out yet. This proved that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him. Killing Lin Yi is naturally good, but Lin Yi and Guan Xuemin's relationship seems to be quite good. If we kill Lin Yi, It means we're not giving Guan Shu a mean face. That's not good, is it? After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is in the limelight, and they've released many miraculous medicines. They'll be the target of the noble houses in the future. Yu Haitian analyzed, it doesn't matter how we step on House Chu, but when it comes to Lin Yi, it's better to be careful. So what if he's close to Guan Shu? Guan Shu didn't stand out to protect him. We can completely ignore this relationship. Yu Bide smiled coldly. When the time comes, we'll kill him. Guan Shu won't be able to say anything. He won't cause trouble for House Yu, will he? I think it's better to discuss this with second uncle. Yu Haitian said carefully. All right, I'll call second brother now and ask for his opinion. Yu Bide nodded. He could ignore Yu Haitian's suggestion, but he had to listen to his second brother's suggestion. His second brother was very rational, and he considered things from a comprehensive perspective. Yu Bai dialed Shuixing's number and told him what had happened, telling him that he was going to house Chu tomorrow morning to kill Lin Yi while he was at it. No. Shuixing shook his head after hearing Bai's words. Third brother, we shouldn't make a move against Lin Yi right now. Why? Yu Bai was stunned and asked. If there's a force behind Lin Yi, why haven't they jumped out yet? Bide, you haven't thought things through thoroughly enough. Shuixing said, it looks like Lin Yi has an unusual relationship with the Chu family on the surface, but that's just a personal relationship between Lin Yi and the Chu family. It doesn't mean that the power behind Lin Yi will help the Chu family. If Lin Yi only came out to gain experience, then he should be going back soon, and the Chu family might have been abandoned. Oh, Yu Bai paused. That makes sense. I was too reckless. Man, this Lin Yi, it's annoying just looking at him. Haha, there's no rush. If Lin Yi really doesn't have any power behind him, then he'll become a ghost under your hand sooner or later. But if he does, then we'll let him be for now. We'll make a decision after we investigate his background. Shuixing said. All right, I'll stomp House Chu to death first. Yu Bide said hatefully, putting all his anger on House Chu. Since he couldn't kill Lin Yi, then House Chu would be his punching bag. And that dog that caused his son's death, he'd kill it too. House Chu's villa. Chu Pingzhan looked at the clock in the living room anxiously. It was already 5 in the morning, and there was still no news from Lin Yi's room. He couldn't help but panic. Today was the deadline that Xiao family, Zhao Qibing, and House Yu gave him. If Lin Yi didn't leave by this deadline, then he wouldn't be able to leave. House Xiao and House Yu were still manageable, but if House Yu came, Ming Yao wouldn't be able to leave, would she? Daddy, what's wrong? Why do you look so anxious? Ming Yao asked curiously as she looked at Pengzhan, who kept looking at the time. Today is the day that Xiao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing agreed to meet. I'm afraid that they'll come after daybreak, and then we won't be able to leave. Pengzhan sighed, but he didn't hide it. At a time like this, he had to let Ming Yao be mentally prepared. Yao, why don't you leave with Shu first? I'll stay here. And Lil, you can guard here? Pengzhan said helplessly. Could it be that this was fate? Lil, he was fine before, but something happened just before he left. However, Pengzhan didn't hate Lin Yi. He knew very well what would happen if he let his daughter leave first. House Yu might vent their anger on him and kill him directly. But how could Pengzhan watch his daughter be taken away by House Yu? If his daughter was taken to House Yu as a concubine, she might commit suicide because of the humiliation. If his daughter died, how could he live alone? How would he have the face to see Wan again? Was he a qualified father if he couldn't even protect his own daughter? So, Pengzhan would rather sacrifice himself than let anything happen to his daughter. No, I'm not leaving. Ming Yao shook her head. Yao, listen to me. Don't be stubborn. If you don't leave, House Yu will take you away forcefully. Daddy won't be able to do anything then. Pengzhan frowned and said seriously, if Lil Yi sees this, he won't be able to do anything about it. But do you know what will happen if he stands out forcefully? You'll be harming Lil Yi. No. Ming Yao shook her head. Daddy, you're right. But think about it. If House Yu comes and they don't see me, who else will they vent their anger on other than you? You know, although I ordered Yu Kun to be killed, the one who did it was Lin Yi. If House Yu doesn't see me, will they let you and Lin Yi go so easily? This. Peng Zhan had been thinking about himself and wanted to end this grudge with his own death. But after hearing his daughter's words, he suddenly remembered that Lin Yi was the one who injured Yukuan. If that was the case, House Yu wouldn't be able to see Yao Yao, and they wouldn't let Lin Yi go. Chapter 946. Give me 10 billion. Okay. Peng Zhan nodded in agreement after seeing his daughter's determination. He understood his daughter's personality. She wouldn't change her mind once she made up her mind. But Shu, she's innocent. Shu, why don't you go back to your villa? No, if Yao Yao sis and Shield bro die, then there's no point in me living. Yushu shook her head. All right, you stay here then. Peng Zhan thought that even if Yushu stayed here, House Yu wouldn't dare to touch her. Yushu was from House Chun. Although House Chun had fallen, with Elder Chun retiring and Chun Yuqian not doing much, House Chun was still an old noble house with influence in the military. As long as House Yu didn't want to fall out with them, they wouldn't dare to offend House Chun at this time. Time passed, and it was 6:30 in the morning. There was still no news from Lin Yi's room. Peng Zhan couldn't take it anymore. He walked over and wanted to knock on the door, but he hesitated and put his ear on Lin Yi's door, trying to listen for any movement inside. But, to Peng Zhan's disappointment, there was no movement from Lin Yi's room. Was Lin Yi healing himself? Peng Zhan didn't know, but he was sure that Lin Yi had something he hadn't finished yet, and it was something extremely important. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed in his room for so long, not only not coming out, but also without any news. It seemed that Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain. He rushed into the room, and the only thing he left was, "Don't disturb him." So, Peng Zhan hesitated and didn't knock on the door. He returned to the sofa and sat down, waiting for Lin Yi to come out on his own. But something unexpected happened. Bang! The door of the villa was kicked open by a huge force. Peng Zhan, Meng Yao, and Yushu, who were sitting on the sofa, jumped in fright. Peng Zhan's heart tightened. What was supposed to happen had finally happened. He didn't know who came first, but it had to be Xiao family, Zhao Qibing, or House Yu. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so arrogant as to barge in without even knocking. Peng Zhan had been prepared for this to happen, but he still felt that it was a little too early. It wasn't even 7 in the morning, and the enemy was already so impatient. What a bunch of greedy and impatient people. Peng Zhan, you've got guts, haven't you? I heard that you wanted to escape with your daughter. You really didn't go to the company and hid at your daughter's place. Yu Haitian sneered and said sarcastically, "However, can the Monkey King escape from Buddha's Five-Finger Mountain?" Yu Haitian and Yu Bide went to Peng Zhan's place first. Their hearts skipped a beat when they realized that Peng Zhan wasn't there. Did he really escape? They rushed to Ming Yao's place and saw that Peng Zhan's car was parked in front of the villa. Haitian and Yu Bide were even more certain that Peng Zhan was planning to escape with his daughter. Otherwise, why would he come to Meng Yao's place instead of waiting for them at the company in the morning? Peng Zhan's heart sank when he heard Haitian's voice. He didn't expect that the first to come would be the most troublesome House Yu. If it were Xiao family or Zhao Qibing's men, it would be easy to deal with them. As long as he gave them the property they wanted, there wouldn't be a problem. But House Yu didn't just want the property. They also wanted their daughter. If I wanted to escape, why be sitting here waiting for you? Although Peng Zhan was panicking, he forced himself to be calm. If you wanted to leave, wouldn't you have left a long time ago? Cut the bullshit. What do you think of my condition? Yu Bide interrupted Peng Zhan and asked directly. I can give all the shares to House Yu for free, but I hope that House Yu can let my daughter go. Peng Zhan knew that he couldn't leave, so he made his last struggle. Let her go? What a joke. Yu Bide humphed coldly. When your daughter let that bastard Lin Yi kill my son, why didn't she think of letting him go? Didn't Lil Yi open one side of the net to save your son's life? Peng Zhan said, neither servile nor overbearing. Yeah, because my son didn't die, I let your daughter serve him as a concubine. I let her go too. Otherwise, I would have killed your daughter and let her marry my son. Yu Bide glared at Peng Zhan and said angrily, Mr. Yu, speaking of this, It was your son who barged into my daughter's villa without permission. Pengzhan argued. This was the last moment, and he knew that reasoning with Haosu wouldn't work, but he had to fight for it. If Haosu really took Meng Yao away, then House Chu would be finished. What? You're saying that Haosu is at fault? You're saying that my son asked for it? Is that what you're saying? Do you dare to say that again? Yu Bai's face instantly revealed a sinister expression. I didn't say that. I just hope that you can let my daughter go, Mr. Yu. Meng Yao sighed and said, if you're willing to let my daughter go, I'll agree to whatever you ask for. All right, give Haosu 10 billion, and I'll let your daughter go. How's that? Fair, right? I'll buy my life with money. Yu Bai laughed. Pengzhan's face turned red. Haosu's conditions were unreasonable. 10 billion. Where is he going to get 10 billion for him? Wasn't he purposely making things difficult for him? What's wrong, Mr. Chu? You don't want to buy your life with money. Yu Bai sneered. If that's the case, then don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Phew! Pengzhan took in a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He couldn't get angry. Pengzhan reminded himself that this wasn't the time to go against Haosu. He had to hold it in. Mr. Yu, 10 billion. Aren't you forcing me? Pengzhan asked in a low voice. What, Pengzhan, do you think your daughter isn't worth 10 billion? Yu Bai asked. Chapter 9:47. Recovery. Breakthrough. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance if you can't, Yu Bai said coldly. Which one of them is your daughter? Are they pretty? They're perfect as my son's concubine. Mr. Yu, please leave some leeway when you do things. Don't push things too far. There's a saying that things will go in the opposite direction when pushed to the extreme. I wonder if you've heard of it? Pengzhan had no other choice but to threaten him. Oh. Yu Bai looked at Pengzhan with interest and laughed. So you're threatening me? I wouldn't dare. Pengzhan was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He could only compromise. I'm just saying something that hasn't changed since ancient times. Huh? Reasoning with me? Haitian, did you hear that? He's reasoning with me? Ha ha. Yu Bai laughed without restraint. He said to leave some leeway when I do things. Don't push things too far. Did you hear that? Third uncle, I heard that. Haitian nodded with a smile. Do you think it's funny? Yu Bai mocked. Funny, this is too funny. Yu Haitian also laughed out loud. Oomph. Yu Bai changed the topic and looked at Pengzhan coldly. I don't leave any leeway when I do things. I'm going to push things too far. What can you do? What do you want? What do you want? Stare at me? Are you going to explode? Ha 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 ha. Yu Bai looked at Pengzhan's helpless face and felt a sense of satisfaction, as if he had vented his anger. If it wasn't for Shueishing stopping him from killing Lin Yi, he would have killed Pengzhan first before going after Lin Yi. The pleasure brought by humiliating others made Yu Bai feel great. Pengzhan's face turned purple. Haosu didn't listen to reason at all. There was no logic to speak of. Pengzhan's chest heaved up and down. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. In Lin Yi's room, in the jade pendant, Lin Yi's face couldn't help but show some anxiety. Although Lin Yi's body was in the jade pendant, his whole body was awake. Whatever happened outside, Lin Yi heard it clearly. Lin Yi also heard the conversation between Pengzhan and Meng Yao in the living room. Pengzhan's words touched Lin Yi a lot, and the Miss and Shu following him touched him as well. Lin Yi didn't think that Pengzhan's situation had reached this point. The Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's men had come to his doorstep, even Haosu's men. Moreover, Haosu even wanted to take Miss away as a concubine. They really dared to dream. Although Miss wasn't Lin Yi's woman, Pengzhan's attitude made Lin Yi feel that taking care of Miss was his responsibility. Even if he took 10,000 steps back, he was still Miss's bodyguard. How could he let House Chu take Miss away? All right, since you guys are so arrogant, then each and every one of you will pay the price for your arrogance. However, Lin Yi was very anxious. His strength hadn't recovered yet, and Lin Yi really couldn't stand up for Miss right now. Hurry up a little more. Lin Yi was in the jade pendant space, absorbing the energy crazily. Hearing that house he was closing in, Lin Yi wanted to rush out right now, but Lin Yi knew that it wasn't enough yet. The moment he went out, it would be the death of these people. So, recovering his strength was very important. Lin, he gritted his teeth. The energy in the jade pendant space surged into his body, and as Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery circulated faster and faster, the energy became stronger and stronger. Fu dash Lin Yi's eyes opened abruptly. The energy in his body had reached its saturation state before his strength dropped. Finally recovered. His strength was finally back. However, Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi knew that according to his past experience, every time he lost his strength, he could absorb some energy into his body after he recovered, and it was very likely that his strength would break through. But if he stopped and practiced again, there wouldn't be such an effect. So, Lin Yi continued to absorb the energy in the jade pendant space because Lin Yi could clearly feel that although his body was saturated with energy, he could still absorb it. The energy around Lin Yi was getting more and more, and the energy around Lin Yi was fluctuating rapidly as Lin Yi absorbed more and more energy, forming a whirlpool around Lin Yi. On Lin Yi's face, an expression of extreme pain appeared. He felt that his body was about to explode, and the energy in his body was reaching its limit. If he didn't release it soon, he'd explode like a balloon. But Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Instead, he gritted his teeth and increased the speed of his cultivation. The energy around Lin Yi was mobilized again, and it quickly rushed into Lin Yi's body, and the energy in Lin Yi's body rose to a new height. As the energy in his body gathered more and more, Lin Yi's face showed a strange flush, and it looked a little strange through the energy whirlpool. Soon, really soon, Lin Yi snorted, "Let the storm come fiercer." Boom! With a loud bang, Lin Yi felt like his whole body was about to fly into the sky. Under the huge impact of the energy in his body, the barrier between levels collapsed at this moment. Instantly, more energy rushed into Lin Yi's body, but this time, it didn't feel like he was about to burst his limit, but instead, there was a very comfortable, nourishing feeling breakthrough. After the breakthrough, Lin Yi's meridians could absorb more energy. The energy whirlpool around Lin Yi was getting weaker and weaker, and most of it was absorbed by Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face turned from red to healthy, and Lin Yi jumped up from his bed. Was this the power of the middle phase of the mystic division? As expected, it was a world of difference from the peak of the early phase of the mystic division. No wonder it was so difficult for him to defeat a physical master who was at the peak of the middle phase of the mystic division. Sometimes, the difference of one level was the difference between victory and defeat. "Oh," Lin Yi let out a breath and patted General Wei Wu. "It's time, General Wei Wu. This time, we will be the main characters." Woof woof. General Wei Wu, who was in a coma, seemed to feel the powerful and majestic aura from Lin Yi, and it woke up. It barked at Lin Yi happily. Chapter 948. Two choices, double payback. Although it was only one level, Lin Yi was already satisfied. One had to know that the higher the level, the harder it was to break through. Some people couldn't even take a step forward in their entire life. And Lin Yi wasn't even 20 years old, and he already had the strength of a mystic mid-phase. This was unimaginable among the noble houses and hidden houses. In the villa's living room, Peng Zhan looked at the tyrannical Yu Bide sadly. Although he knew that there was no way to reason with House Yu, anyone would want to try their luck. Now that it seemed like there was no other way, Peng Zhan could only smile bitterly. "Yu Bide, you've gone too far. The heavens are watching what you do. Sooner or later, this revenge will fall on your House Yu's head." "Haha, I'll be waiting for that day. Let me see where the revenge is." Yu Bide didn't care about Peng Zhan's words at all. This world was a world where the strong lived. The weak were prey to the strong. This was an unchanging rule. He laughed and turned to Meng Yao and Yu Shu. "Which one of you is Meng Yao? You can come with me now." Meng Yao took a deep breath and stood up slowly. Her eyes showed determination. "I am." Good, then you can come with me now. Ubaid nodded. He was quite satisfied with Yushu as well. He couldn't help but ask regretfully, "Who are you?" "She's from House Chun. If you dare to touch her, you can bring her back too." Meng Yao looked at Ubaid mockingly and said faintly, "House Chun." Ubaid's expression froze. He suddenly remembered that the granddaughter of House Chun, Yushu, and Peng Zhan's daughter were good friends. Although House Chun had fallen, it was still one of the noble houses. Ubaid didn't dare to provoke them. He laughed. "House Chun and House you have no grudges. Why would I want to capture her? I want to capture you. If you're not afraid that I'll kill your son, then bring me back." Meng Yao raised her head and looked at Ubaid as if she was facing death. Yes, Meng Yao was stalling for time. Just now, Shu secretly hinted to her to stall for time and wait for Shield Bro. Although Meng Yao didn't know why Yushu was so confident all of a sudden, she still did as she was told. Shu may be crazy, but Meng Yao had to admit that a lot of the words that came out of her mouth turned into reality. It was not an exaggeration to call her prophet Shu. In fact, Yushu didn't know why she was so confident in Shield Bro, but the two barks reminded her of the day he brought General Weiwu to the room for treatment after he was injured. When General Weiwu recovered and Lin Yi walked out of the room, Yushu also heard two excited barks from General Weiwu. It was a happy barking, just like today. "How dare you?" Ubaid's face turned ugly after hearing Meng Yao's words. "Do you believe that I'll kill your entire family right now?" "I don't believe you." A faint voice rang out. Although it was not loud, it was filled with confidence. It was Lin Yi. Meng Yao turned her head in disbelief and saw Lin Yi walk out of the room, a faint smile on his face that made her want to beat him up. At his feet was General Weiwu, full of vigor and vigor. Peng Zhan was shocked as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would walk out of the room at this time, and to stand up for his daughter. Could he deal with House Yu? Peng Zhan was afraid that House Yu would harm Lin Yi in a fit of rage. Yushu, on the other hand, was very excited. She felt that her prophecy was successful again. "Lin Yi, you still dare to come out? I thought you ran away." Ubaid didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. From his point of view, if he didn't look for trouble with Lin Yi would already be burning incense. How dare Lin Yi take the initiative to come out? Did he really think that House Yu wouldn't dare to kill him? "House Yu, I heard that you want all of Uncle Chu's Pingzhan Industries shares." Lin Yi ignored Ubaid's sarcasm and asked indifferently, "So what if I am? You have a problem with that?" Ubaid asked coldly, "Oh, I have a part of Uncle Chu's shares. You didn't even ask me before you took it?" Lin Yi's tone was still calm, but it was full of accusation. "You still want to forcefully bring Yao Yao to House Yu to be a concubine? Are you out of your mind? Lin Yi, do you want to die?" Ubaid's eyes burned with fire. He couldn't take it anymore. Although his second brother advised him not to act recklessly against Lin Yi, at this moment, he only wanted to kill Lin Yi. Even if the power behind Lin Yi came out to punish him, it was Lin Yi's own fault for being a busybody. What did it have to do with him? "You don't have to care whether I die or not." Lin Yi looked at Ubaid with disdain, "But I know that you're going to die soon. Now, I'll give you two choices. The first choice is to give me all of House Yu's shares and some shares of other businesses. Then, I'll have two girls from House Yu come over to be my concubines. The second choice, you die." Huh? Ubaid was amused by Lin Yi's words. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to say something like this. Who did he think he was? Even if he had other powers behind him, he was just a useless person. A useless person saying something like this? Wasn't he tired of living? "Oh, Shield Bro, you're awesome. I'm the concubine now. I can have a concubine to order around." Yushu shouted excitedly. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile as well. Lin Yi's conditions were basically giving back double of what House Yu had asked for. She didn't know where Lin Yi got his confidence from. Could it be that he recovered his strength? But when Meng Yao saw the confident smile on Lin Yi's face, she felt relieved. "It's over, it's finally over, isn't it? Everything will be fine." Peng Zhan was surprised as well. He wasn't stupid. He noticed that something was amiss. Lin Yi became stronger, extremely stronger. Only the idiot Ubaid didn't realize why Lin Yi became so strong. Hatred filled his mind. He smiled coldly. Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? Give you house use businesses? And 2, are you dreaming? Let the girls from house you be your concubine? What are you thinking? Are you retarded? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Lin E ignored you by sarcasm. The countdown starts 3, 2. Chapter 949. Killed by a dog bang. Before Yubai could count to 2.6, he flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell heavily from the broken door of the mansion and landed in the yard of the mansion. Everyone was shocked. Yu Haitian looked at Lin E in disbelief. Lin E sent you Bide flying with one palm. How is that possible? Didn't Lin E lose his strength? Wasn't he a cripple? Yu Bide's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear? How is that possible? Plus, he was an early phase Mystic class master, and he couldn't even take one hit from Lin E. Lin E was only a peak early phase Mystic class master. Even if he was half a level higher than him, it shouldn't be this bad, right? I was too careless. I must have been too careless. Ubide felt sad. Fuck, he was tricked by this bastard Lin E. He didn't lose his strength at all. He was pretending to be weak. He confused me and attacked me when I wasn't paying attention. That's why I was heavily injured. Early phase Mystic class? House U doesn't have any masters. The son is useless and the father is useless. Lin E waved his hand, a hint of disdain on his face. Can you consider my conditions now? Die, or give me 2 properties and 2 concubines from House U. Kill me if you have the guts. Ubide was pissed off by Lin Yi's words. Although Lin E was pretending to be weak, Ubide didn't think that Lin E would really kill him. He thought that Lin E wouldn't dare. General Wei Wu, it was his son who almost killed you. Go get revenge on his father now. Lin E ordered General Wei Wu calmly. Go kill him. Woof woof. General Wei Wu wanted to test its strength. How could it let go of such a good opportunity to take revenge? She jumped up from Lin Yi's side and came to Ubide's side. Ubide gritted his teeth in anger. He didn't dare to kill Lin E. First, he wasn't sure of Lin Yi's background. Second, he wasn't a match for Lin E at all. He was very depressed, but at this moment, Lin E actually sent a dog to disgust him. Ubide was instantly enraged and was ready to vent his anger on this dog. Since his son's injury was caused by this dog, he would use this dog's blood to avenge his son. Ubide believed that if he killed a dog, Lin E and the forces behind him wouldn't say anything. Therefore, Ubide had this mentality. When General Wei Wu ran over, he suddenly raised his palm and slapped it. Although Ubide was heavily injured, he felt that he only needed a little bit of strength to kill a dog. However, just as Ubide slapped, General Wei Wu also jumped up and kicked Ubide's palm with its hind legs. Pung! Ubide's body flew out once again, directly outside the mansion. Ubide's body landed heavily on the ground. He twitched a few times and then stopped moving. Therefore, an early phase Mystic class master died under the claws of General Wei Wu, who was at the peak of the late phase of Golden class. With General Wei Wu's spiritual strength at the peak of the late phase of Golden class, killing a severely injured early phase Mystic class master wasn't a problem. Third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect Lin E to attack just like that. He didn't leave any leeway and let a dog kill Ubide in the end. His face immediately revealed a look of fear and horror. Yu Haitian wasn't a martial artist and didn't know any martial arts. At this moment, he was so scared that he didn't dare to say anything disrespectful to Lin E. He quickly ran out of the mansion and came to Ubide's side. He reached out his hand to feel Ubide's breath. Gone. Ubide was dead. Yu Haitian was even more scared. This Lin E even dared to kill Ubide, let alone Yu Haitian. Looking at Lin E, who followed him out of the mansion, Yu Haitian turned pale. What are you doing? I'm just a follower. I came with third uncle. He's the one in charge. I know you're just a small fry. Lin E said faintly. Go back and tell Yu Shuaishing that he owes me 2 business shares and 2 concubines. I, Lin E, always keep my words. Tell him to be prepared. But you already killed third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect that Lin Yi would continue to bring up such terrifying conditions after killing Ubaid. The dog killed him, not me, Lin Yi said faintly. Plus, I'm talking about killing your entire family, not just him. All right, I'll bring these words to him. Yu Haitian nodded sorrowfully. Before, they were the stronger side, but in the blink of an eye, he had to run away with his uncle's corpse. Oh, then why are you still standing here? You can leave now. Don't delay me from dealing with the Shao family. Lin Yi waved his hand impatiently. Yu Haitian clenched his teeth and carried his uncle's corpse. He quickly got into an SUV in front of the mansion, started the car, and left the mansion. As he drove, Yu Haitian dialed Yinjing's house Yu's number. Through Yu phone, he found Yu Shuaixing. Yu Haitian cried out, "Second uncle. Bad news, third uncle was killed." What did you say? Who was killed? Yu Shuaixing paused, not understanding Yu Haitian's words. Third uncle. Third uncle was beaten to death. Yu Haitian repeated himself. Bide? He's dead? How did he die? Who killed him? Yu Shuaixing's face paled when he heard Yu Haitian's words, and even his tone changed. Yes, third uncle is dead. He was beaten to death by a dog. Yu Haitian felt that something was off. Why? Yu Shuaixing thought that he'd heard wrong. What did you say? Who killed him? Dog. Yu Haitian smiled bitterly. Dog? You're saying that Bide was killed by a dog? Are you kidding me? Haitian, are you kidding me? It's not April Fool's today, is it? Yu Shuaixing asked in disbelief. After all, this was too unbelievable. His third brother was a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. How could he be killed by a dog? Second uncle, I'm not mistaken. Third uncle really was killed by a dog. Yu Haitian sweated as he recalled the scene. Chapter 9:51. House Yu shocked. Yes, uncle, it's the kind of dog that barks. Haitian explained, sweating profusely. Are you serious? Killed by a dog? Shuaixing felt that Haitian's words were a little unbelievable. A mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner was killed by a dog? Second uncle, how would I dare to joke about such an important matter? Haitian said, sweating profusely. He was killed by the dog called General Weiwu by Lin Yi's side. Wasn't that dog killed by Yu Kuan? Shuaixing paused. It didn't die. The dog was pretty smart. Lin Yi told it that the father pays the son's debts. So the dog killed uncle. Haitian said, your uncle is a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. Even a normal person wouldn't be able to kill him that easily, let alone a dog. Shuaixing didn't understand. Even if the dog had a high IQ and knew how to get revenge on Ubaid, it still needed the ability to do so. Yes, second uncle. I think that dog is not an ordinary dog. Although I'm not a cultivator, the powerful aura that came from the dog's body indicates that it is not an ordinary dog. Yu Haitian said with some lingering fear. So, you guys want to cause trouble for Pengzhan today, and then that General Weiwu came out and killed Ubaid? Shuaixing finally had an idea, but he still didn't believe that a dog could be that strong. No, uncle, Lenny wasn't injured at all, and his strength didn't drop. Haitian said fearfully, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's been so many days, and there's no news from him at all. Just when third uncle and I were about to go and take Pengzhan's daughter away by force, Lin Yi suddenly showed up and sent third uncle flying with one palm. That General Weiwu rushed over and gave him a kick, and third uncle died just like that. Lin Yi wasn't injured? His strength didn't drop? A dog is a practitioner? This series of news exploded in Shuaixing's ears, and he didn't know what to do. What was going on? Hadn't they already investigated it? Lin Yi was heavily injured and didn't have any strength at all. How did he suddenly recover? And his strength wasn't affected at all? Was he pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Did he purposely create the illusion of being injured to lure the enemy over? No. Shuaixing frowned. It was possible that Lin Yi was a wolf in sheep's clothing, but that dog couldn't possibly do that. Yu Kuan had already said that he killed the dog, and its internal organs were all destroyed. Even if he could save it, it would be a cripple. How is it possible that it became a training dog? Shueishing thought of a terrifying possibility. Lin Yi had been injured before, but now he'd recovered, and not only that, he'd become even stronger. It was the same for that dog. It was already injured beyond repair, but now it had actually become a cultivation dog. What kind of great power was behind Lin Yi? Even the hidden houses didn't have this kind of power, right? Not only did he manage to save the lives of a severely injured man and a dying dog, he even gave them more powerful strength. How many heavenly materials and earthly treasures were used, and how many experts were guarding it to achieve such an effect? Shueishing realized that he'd made a huge mistake. He shouldn't have gone to Songshan to join in the fun. If Xiao family wanted to die, then let them be. He could just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Why did he have to get involved? However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. After hearing that his third brother was killed, Shueishing really wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Lin Yi knew how powerful House Yu was, and yet he dared to kill Yu Bide. There were only two possibilities. One was that he was rash, and the other was that Lin Yi had something to rely on. He wasn't afraid of House Yu, or rather, the power behind him wasn't afraid of House Yu. Of course, Shueishing was leaning towards the latter. According to Yu Kuan, Lin Yi wanted to kill him, and it was Li Fu who spoke up that made Lin Yi go easy on him. The first time was fine, but was it possible for him to be rash again? Plus, Lin Yi had been holding back for so many days, waiting for House Yu to mess with him before killing him at the last moment. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to make an example out of him? Haitian, tell me everything that happened in detail. Don't miss out on any details. Shueishing took a deep breath and asked, Yes, uncle, this is what happened. Haitian recounted everything that happened, including what he said to his third uncle, as well as Peng Zhan's reaction. In the end, he didn't forget to tell Shueishing about Lin Yi's arrogant demands. This Lin Yi, how arrogant! How dare he threaten House Yu? Shueishing was furious after hearing what Lin Yi had Haitian tell him, but his heart was filled with suspicions. What gave Lin Yi the guts to say something like that? From Peng Zhan's reaction, it seemed like he didn't know that Lin Yi's strength had recovered. This meant that Peng Zhan might have been tricked by Lin Yi as well. The kid was pretending to be weak, and he didn't tell anyone about his recovery, all for this final burst of power. Scary. What a scary thought process. Shueishing sighed. If Lin Yi was as he guessed, then what was his real goal? Was it against House Yu, Xiao family, or Zhao Qibing? Perhaps, in his eyes, these people were just pawns, and he had a deeper purpose? Yes, uncle, what do we do now? Haitian asked carefully. Bring your uncle's body back to Yanjing immediately. Don't bother with what's going on over there. Shueishing was scared, truly scared. House Yu had been running amok for so many years, and no one dared to disrespect them, let alone kill them. But Lin Yi was completely unrestrained, killing one of the core members of House Yu and injuring the other, and he even wanted the shares of House Yu's businesses. What's more, he wanted the two girls of House Yu to be his concubines. Was he dreaming, or did he really have the strength to do that? But no matter what, Shueishing was starting to regret it. For a few map fragments, he'd made such a terrifying enemy. This wasn't House Yu's fortune. Chapter 952. Here comes another one. If Lin Yi didn't have a background, then Shueishing would kill himself. If he did, then Shueishing would demand justice for his brother and nephew. Even if he had to take the case to the noble house arbitration, he'd sue Lin Yi for going too far. But Shueishing had never once considered whether he'd gone too far when he'd sent people to make things difficult for House Chu. Many people would only think about other people's mistakes, but never their own. Hatred had clouded Shueishing's rationality. He didn't think that his family did anything wrong, and that it was all Lin Yi's fault. But no matter what, Shueishing chose to endure it. He was filled with hatred, but he wouldn't act rashly anymore. Peng Zhan was surprised and overjoyed when he saw House Yu running away. He truly didn't think that at the most critical moment for House Chu, when they were about to be destroyed, Lin Yi would turn the situation around in an instant. The arrogant man who wanted to kill his family was killed by by General Wei Wu. At the thought, Peng Zhan's face turned weird. Since when did General Wei Wu become so strong? He could kill a mystic, early-phase, spiritual practitioner with one kick? Even if Ubaid was heavily injured by he couldn't have been killed by a dog so easily. Could he? Could it be that he had trained or modified General Wei Wu? Ah, sorry, I came out late. Yi smiled, but luckily I made it in time, otherwise I might have had to go to Yanjing if Yao Yao was captured. Who asked you to go? I wouldn't have come back myself. Meng Yao blushed. She felt a very sweet feeling in her heart, but on the outside, she didn't seem to care. Didn't you say you lost your strength? How did you become so strong all of a sudden? Well, it's a long story. Yi smiled bitterly. It was a coincidence, I guess. General Wei Wu helped me recover my strength. General Wei Wu helped you regain your strength? Peng Zhan looked at Yi surprised. Does that mean you don't need to go back home? Only then did he remember the issue of returning to his hometown. Previously, he was immersed in the joy of recovering his strength and forgot that he was preparing to return to his hometown. But since Peng Zhan had already resigned, he couldn't stay any longer. I'll go back after dealing with these problems. Peng Zhan didn't say anything, but the Mist's face changed. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but didn't know what to say. She kicked Shu subconsciously. Oh, Shield bro, you're breaking your promise. Yushu spoke up immediately after Meng Yao's signal. Oh, he couldn't help but be stunned. How did I go back on my word? We hooked our pinkies before, and you said that if you recovered and became stronger than before, you'd come back to be our bodyguard and stay in the villa forever. Yushu said confidently. Why? He couldn't help but smile bitterly after hearing Yushu's words. Only now did he realize that he had fallen into Yushu's trap. What Yushu said before wasn't out of her own feelings. It was probably premeditated by this girl. Otherwise, why would she say it out so easily? Didn't think too much about it at that time. He just casually said a few words to brush off Yushu. But he didn't expect that he would be trapped by that one sentence. Was he going to stay in the villa forever? Haha. I was about to say something to make you stay, but since Shu and Yi have reached an agreement, it seems like my words are unnecessary. I don't need to say anything anymore. Peng Zhan laughed. All right. Yi nodded. There is still some time before the 5-year deadline, so he wasn't in a rush to go back home. But he didn't know if Tang Yun would be happy when she found out. Oh, Prophet Shu is amazing, la la la. Yushu shouted excitedly. Meng Yao was happy as well, but she didn't show it as obviously as Yushu. She only smiled and said, Yi, then I'll have to trouble you from now on. He was just about to tease the miss when footsteps came from the villa's courtyard again. Huh, another one coming to die? Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. That's good. Saves me the trouble of going to them. Xiao family also received news from Jiangwen today, saying that Peng Zhan was planning to escape with Meng Yao and that the company's shares and properties have been secretly transferred out. This made the Xiao family furious. This was also because Jiangwen was afraid that one house wouldn't be enough pressure for Peng Zhan, so he contacted the Xiao family and told them to pressure Peng Zhan as well. It would be best if Peng Zhan was forced into a corner. Jiangwen appearing at this time would be like a savior, and he wouldn't have to worry about Peng Zhan not agreeing to his terms. And so, Xiao Ji and Xiao Bin, along with Uncle Pai, went to Peng Zhan's company after receiving the call, only to find that Peng Zhan wasn't there. It took them a while to get back to Meng Yao's villa, only to see Peng Zhan's car. On the way, Xiao Ji called Huli and told her to come to Meng Yao's house as well. After all, this was caused by Huli, and it would be good for her to see Peng Zhan's family in such a miserable state. It would be a good way for her to vent her anger. In fact, Xiao Ji really liked this second wife of his. After all, Huli's skills in bed were amazing, and Xiao Ji felt like dying every day. He didn't forget to bring Huli along when he came to Peng Zhan's place to vent his anger. Go Huli was having her beauty treatment outside when she heard that her husband had brought Uncle Pai and his brother-in-law to cause trouble for Peng Zhan. She couldn't be bothered with the treatment any longer. She washed her face and drove her Ferrari home in a hurry. What happened to Peng Zhan's house? Why is the door like this? Xiao Ji looked at Minyao's villa curiously. Why did the door look like it was kicked to pieces? Could it be that someone is a step ahead of us and is looking for trouble? Xiao Ben frowned. Even Houseu was here, and the Xiao family naturally knew about it as well. They also found out about Houseu's conditions. Houseu wanted all of Peng Zhan Industries' shares, and didn't that include Peng Zhan's business building and hotel? Chapter 953. Don't pretend. That's impossible, right? If Houseu comes, wouldn't we have wasted our efforts? Xiao Ji was getting a little pissed at the thought. He strode into the villa, yelling as he walked. Where's Peng Zhan? Get out here right now. However, no one in the villa responded. Damn it, is there anyone? Peng Zhan, you old bastard, are you there or not? Xiao Ji was panicking. If Peng Zhan wasn't here, or if he was killed, then who would the Xiao family ask for money from? However, she did not answer him this time. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben couldn't wait to enter the villa, only to see Peng Zhan, Meng Yao, and even Lin Yi there. The few of them stood in the living room of the villa, looking at Xiao Ji and the others with a strange expression. What are you looking at? Damn it. Why aren't you answering when I'm talking to you? Are you deaf or scared silly? Xiao Ji felt that Peng Zhan and the others were acting a little weird, but he didn't think too much about it. He was here for money and property. After all, how could he get it if he wasn't a little more forceful? Mr. Xiao, I don't know why you're making such a fuss in my daughter's villa. Peng Zhan was emboldened. He knew that Lin Yi had recovered his strength, so he wasn't as afraid as before. What can I do for you? Fuck you, Peng Zhan, don't play dumb with me. Have you thought about the conditions I gave you last time? 200 million yuan of startup capital, property rights of Peng Zhan commercial building and Peng Zhan business hotel. Xiao Ji was a very uncouth person, and he felt a sense of superiority in front of Peng Zhan. As a result, cursing and swearing was very pleasurable for him, especially when he saw Peng Zhan's expression of anger but not daring to speak up. It gave Xiao Ji a great sense of satisfaction. Mr. Xiao, you are also a descendant of an aristocratic family. How can you speak so uncivilly? Peng Zhan looked at Xiao Ji mockingly. He felt as if he had vented his frustration. This was the first time he didn't have to look at Xiao Ji's face. Fuck, do I need you to teach me how to speak? If you don't want to die, don't talk nonsense. Are you out of your mind? Xiao Ji didn't want to waste any more time with Peng Zhan as he reached out his hand. Are you going to give us 200 million? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Ji and asked calmly. Give it to your mother. Xiao Ji couldn't help but glare at Lin Yi. Who the hell are you? I'm Lin Yi, don't you know me? Lin Yi ignored Xiao Ji's insults and explained in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Lin Yi? Ha ha. I know. You are that useless trash without strength. You still dare to come out and join the fun? When Xiao Ji heard Lin Yi's name, the expression on his face instantly became incomparably wonderful. He immediately convulsed with laughter. Xiao Ben suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was more meticulous than his brother Xiao Ji, and was the smartest person in the Xiao family. When he saw Lin Yi appear and Peng Zhan's expression, there was no fear or anger on his face, only calmness. His heart skipped a beat. No, something was definitely wrong. Xiao Ben frowned and pulled Xiao Ji back, stopping him from continuing. He carefully probed. Peng Zhan, did someone come here earlier? Yes. Peng Zhan smiled inwardly. This Xiao Ben wasn't an idiot, only realizing that something was wrong now, but it was already too late. Peng Zhan knew Lin Yi's personality very well. If the Xiao family had cried and begged for mercy as soon as they came in, and given Lin Yi some conditions, perhaps Lin Yi would let them go. But now that Xiao Ji had completely offended Lin, would Lin Yi still let them go? Is it Houseu? Xiao Ben's face was a little ugly. As far as he was concerned, Houseu must have come and made some sort of agreement with Peng Zhan. That was why Peng Zhan was so fearless. Even the crippled Lin Yi jumped out. Yes. Peng Zhan nodded. What did Houseu give you? Xiao Ben's face darkened. If Houseu was really involved in this, then things wouldn't be good. House Yu gave me the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business, along with 2 House Yu girls as concubines. Lenny looked at Xiao Bin and said faintly, "Now it's your Xiao family's turn. I heard that you asked for 200 million. You also asked for the property rights of Pengzhan Business Tower and Pengzhan Business Hotel. Very well. Give me 400 million and the property rights of the 4 businesses, and you can get lost." What? Xiao Bin froze, not really understanding what Lin Yi was saying. If House Yu came and asked for benefits, then at the same time, they had secretly agreed to some of Pengzhan's conditions, which would make Pengzhan calm down again. After all, Xiao Bin had heard that House Yu wanted Pengzhan's daughter, Ming Yao, to be a concubine, and Pengzhan would be House Yu's father-in-law, so he had the right to be calm. But now, it didn't seem to be the case. Lin Yi's words made Xiao Bin feel strange. From Lin Yi's words, it seemed like House Yu would suffer a loss here, and they had no choice but to agree to some conditions. If House Yu and Pengzhan were really on good terms, then would Lin Yi still be able to say such outrageous things? However, Xiao Bin only froze for a moment, and he had an idea. If Lin Yi didn't say such a messy and serious thing, Xiao Bin might be afraid, suspicious, and think that Pengzhan had gotten help from House Yu. But with Lin Yi's words, Xiao Bin was relieved. House Yu was a powerful existence. After all, they were the #1 noble house among all the noble houses. How could House Yu compensate Pengzhan with the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business? As for House Yu sending 2 girls to be Lin Yi's concubines, that was even more impossible. How noble were the girls of House Yu? Even if they were to marry, they would choose another noble house, and they had to be the legal wife. Why would they be someone's concubine? And so, Xiao Bin naturally thought that he had guessed the truth behind Pengzhan's calmness. They must be faking it. Before he came, they had already discussed it, pretending to be so calm, making him think that they had something to rely on, using this to scare him away. Indeed, Pengzhan's expression did scare Xiao Bin, but their mistake was to let Lin Yi jump out and say something that seemed so powerful and scary. Lin Yi's words were a little too overboard. Although it was powerful, if it was too powerful, then he would be an idiot. Chapter 954. Chapter 952. A strange scene here. Uncle Pai walked out coldly and looked at Pengzhan. "Pengzhan, this old man doesn't want to kill anyone, so I hope you can make the right choice. Wei Zhizuan was barely alive in my hands, but you're too weak." "Oh, I heard that you were the one who hit Wei Zhizuan, heavily injuring him?" He turned to Uncle Pai. "That's right, it was me. Do you want to try?" Uncle Pai nodded proudly. "Oh, I'd have forgotten if you hadn't reminded me. Everything you've done to Uncle Chu, I'll pay you back double." Lin Yi's voice was as calm as ever, without a hint of emotion. "But you're too weak in front of me. If I hit you twice, you'd be dead." "What did you say, you brat?" Uncle Pai was furious after hearing Lin Yi's words. As far as he was concerned, a cripple talking to him like that was suicidal. "How about this? Seeing that you're doing things for the Xiao family, I won't kill you." Lin Yi said faintly, "I'll use 50% of my strength to hit you, and if you can take it, you can leave. I won't make things difficult for you. But if you can't take it, then there's nothing I can do." "Why?" Uncle Pai paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. He slapped his chest. "You hit me? All right, I'll let you. But if you can't kill me, then I'll kill you. Let's see what you can do." With that, Uncle Pai stood in front of Lin Yi with his chest puffed out. He was a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner, and even before Lin Yi lost his strength, Lin Yi was only a mystic early phase. They were 2 levels apart, and so Uncle Pai didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. "Wait." Xiao Bin saw that Lin Yi seemed to be serious, and suddenly hesitated. If he was just showing off, then why did he slap Uncle Pai in the first place? Therefore, Xiao Bin wanted to ask again. What happened today was a bit too strange. However, Xiao Bin was still a step too late. Lin Yi's palm smacked out. Uncle Pai was still laughing and patting his chest, looking at Lin Yi mockingly, but the next moment he was like a kite with a broken string, flying out of the villa with a whoosh, landing on the road in front of the villa with a loud thud. Xiao Ji was stunned, and so was Xiao Ben. They all stared blankly at Lin Yi. As far as they knew, Lin Yi didn't have any strength left. How could he send Uncle Pai flying with a single palm strike? Could it be? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other and thought of a terrifying possibility. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear. It was all an illusion. You. Xiao Ji's eyes widened as he pointed at Lin Yi, saying you 3 times, but he couldn't say anything else. I was afraid that I would kill him, so I only used 40% of my strength. You probably won't die, Lin Yi said calmly. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben heard Lin Yi's words and didn't say anything else. They turned around and ran out of the mansion, wanting to check on Uncle Pai's injuries. After all, Uncle Pai was the Xiao family's only support. If anything happened to Uncle Pai, then the Xiao family's strength would plummet. Right now, the Xiao family's status as a noble family was in danger. Nothing could happen to Uncle Pai. The two of them quickly ran out of the courtyard, but just as they stepped out of the mansion, they heard a screech of brakes. The car screeched to a halt. Bang! Just as Peeble flew out of the mansion, he was hit by an oncoming red Ferrari and was sent flying. Uncle Pai screamed in pain as he fell to the ground, blood bubbling out of his mouth. He wasn't going to make it, huh? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other with their eyes wide open. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? How'd Uncle Pai get hit by a car? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do, and just as they were about to check on Uncle Pai, a woman jumped out of the red Ferrari and started yelling. Which old fart is this? Don't you watch where you're going? You just came out like that. Are you trying to extort money from me? Let me tell you, don't even think about extorting money from me. Who do you think I am? I'm from the Xiao family, from Yinjing. My Ferrari is worth a few million yuan, and it even damaged my car. It was Xiao Ji's second wife, Go Huli. Go Huli had received a call from Xiao Ji saying that she was going to humiliate Peng Zhan's family today, and so she hurried back from the beauty salon. She wanted to see Peng Zhan's family as soon as possible, so she drove a little faster. But just as she reached House Chu's mansion, a black shadow ran in front of her car, and Go Huli couldn't stop in time, sending the black shadow flying. When she got out of the car, she realized that it was an old man, his face covered in blood from being hit by her car. Go Huli was used to being arrogant, and she wasn't afraid of something like this. Wasn't it just a car accident? She didn't do it on purpose, and at most she'd just pay some money. While Go Huli was acting arrogantly, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They never would have thought that the person who hit Uncle Pai was Go Huli. Xiao Ji was infuriated and rushed over, swinging his arm and giving Go Huli a big slap. You useless bitch, are you blind? Go Huli was stunned and looked at Xiao Ji in disbelief. Hubby, why did you hit me? Hit you? Are you fucking blind? Do you even know how to drive? Fuck your fourth uncle. Xiao Ji slapped again, and Go Huli's mouth started bleeding. Look at who you hit. It's Uncle Pai. You bitch. Go Huli was dumbfounded by Xiao Ji's words. What? The person she hit was Uncle Pai? Bro, alright, don't hit sis-in-law. Let's check on Uncle Pai first. Xiao Ben was panicking as well, but he knew the severity of the situation. What could hitting solve at a time like this? Let's check on Uncle Pai first. Oof. I'll deal with you when we get home. Xiao Ji quickly turned around and ran to Uncle Pai. Chapter 955. Roles reversed, it's over. Xiao Ben only took one look, and his heart immediately turned cold. His head is smashed, and his brain juice is flowing out. Can he still live? Hurry up and call the ambulance. Xiao Ji was panicking as well, glaring at Huli. What are you looking at? Hurry up and call the ambulance. Oh, yes. Go Huli nodded and took out her phone to call the emergency center. In the villa, Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as well. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Wasn't this too much? How did this Uncle Pai die? Did he get hit by himself? Or did he get run over by a car? Yao, that Huli's so pitiful. She killed a master from a Xiao family. Shield bro's been merciful for nothing. Yushu said regretfully. She'll probably be hung up and beaten when we get home tonight. I really want to go see. The scene was a little bloody, but it was a dramatic ending. Mengyao couldn't help but smile. Yeah, their family sure is unlucky. Pingzhan didn't expect things to end up like this, too. The Xiao family's master got run over by the Xiao family's daughter-in-law. The Xiao family had fallen to a certain point, and Pengzhan didn't have the heart to bully them anymore. You guys go deal with the funerals first. When you're done, I'll get someone to talk to me about the 400 million and the 4 properties. Lenny looked at the Xiao family brothers and shook his head. You guys saw it yourself. Life is full of surprises, and the next one might be you. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben shivered at Lin Yi's threat. At this moment, they truly felt fear. Lin Yi's strength hadn't disappeared at all, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was that Uncle Pai was dead. The Xiao family wouldn't have anything to rely on anymore, wouldn't they? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were both shocked and infuriated. They didn't think that Lin Yi wouldn't stop after Uncle Pai's death. He wanted to extort money and 4 properties from them. This was simply going too far. But they didn't realize that after they'd let Uncle Pai injure Wei Jizuan, they'd push Pingzhan into a corner as well. But how could the Xiao family have any property rights? They wouldn't need to fight for Pengzhan's property if they had their own. As for the 400 million, the Xiao family could afford it, but that was after selling all their properties in Yanjing. They were preparing to expand their business in Songshan. How could they give it to Lin Yi? But the current situation was that the Xiao family didn't want to give it to him. Would Lin Yi let them go? Looking at Uncle Pai and the Xiao family being taken away by the ambulance, Lin Yi didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy. Perhaps this was what they meant by the evils they brought upon themselves are the hardest to bear. It's time for the next house. Lin Yi shrugged and turned to Pengzhan. Uncle Chu, I'm going to the floating cloud bar. Oh, Yi, you're still planning to cause trouble for Zhao Qibing. Pengzhan paused. Since they came to our doorstep, how can they learn their lesson if I don't teach them a lesson? Lin Yi shook his head. But this Zhao Qibing doesn't seem to have a good memory. All right, be careful. Pengzhan saw that Lin Yi was so insistent, so he didn't say anything else. He knew that the strong preyed on the weak. If you didn't teach them a lesson after being bullied, they'd think that you were afraid of them. They'd come back to bully you again. Only when someone bullies you and you step on them back fiercely, to the point where the other party is afraid of you, can you make them fear you. But you better come back early. Pengzhan said hesitantly. After all, it's a critical period right now. I'm worried that House Yu and Xiao family will retaliate and come back to take revenge on Yao Yao and Shu. Don't worry, Lin Yi smiled. General Wei Wu isn't someone to be trifled with. Besides, would they dare come back? But, Uncle Chu, you'll have to spend your own money to fix the door. We don't know when we'll get House Yu's property back. As long as House Yu and Xiao family had enough power, they'd definitely come back for revenge. But now wasn't the time. Of course. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. Only Lin Yi dared to say something like that. He killed Ubaid and still dared to ask for benefit from House Yu. But his father was right. Lin Yi was Lin Yi after all. Songshan's passive situation still depended on him to solve it. It was as if all the troubles had disappeared in an instant. The weak side had become the strong side. Pengzhan couldn't even get used to the sudden change of roles. Just this morning, he was still worried about House Chu's future and his daughter's future. But now, he was worried about House Yu, Xiao family, and Zhao Qibing. Lin Yi, be careful. Meng Yao waited for Lin Yi to walk to the door before speaking. Her tone was flat, but Lin Yi could see the deep concern in her eyes the moment he turned back to look at the Mississippi. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. The mist had always been like this, cold on the outside, but warm on the inside. Lin Yi was used to it. Good luck, shield bro. Yushu waved her fist. I've always had high hopes for you. Lin Yi nodded to them and left the villa. He got on Yushu's beetle and drove to the floating cloud bar. Zhang Wen had encouraged House Yu and Xiao family to go after Pengzhan, and Zhang Wen was waiting for Pengzhan to call him for help. From his perspective, Pengzhan would definitely agree to his suggestion under the pressure of House Yu and Xiao family. There was no other reason. Although Ming Yao might not like him, Marrying him was the best option for Meng Yao compared to marrying a stranger like House Yu. He believed that Peng Zhan wasn't an idiot. He should be able to understand this. If Meng Yao married him, Peng Zhan would not only protect Peng Zhan Industries, but also his daughter's happiness. Jiang Wen truly liked Meng Yao, so even if he married Meng Yao, he would love her dearly and wouldn't do anything to her. Jiang Wen looked at the time on his watch. Didn't House Yu say they were going early in the morning? It was already 8, and he didn't know if there were any results yet. There was no news from Xiao family either. Were they going or not? Chapter 956. Chapter 954. Jiang Wen's hint. With that in mind, Jiang Wen dialed Zhao Qibing's number without hesitation. Zhao Qibing was in the floating cloud bar, doing some recovery exercises. His legs were finally able to stand up and walk under Yao Wang's meticulous treatment. Yao Wang's medical skills weren't as good as Lin Yi's, but it was still much better than recovering in the hospital. Tang Juqing had been able to stand up and walk a long time ago, but he could only stand up now. But Zhao Qibing felt that this was a happy event. That's why his legs were recovering so fast. His biggest enemy in Songshan, Lin Yi, was finally done for. Zhao Qibing had already considered Lin Yi as an obstacle to his development in Songshan. He believed that as long as Lin Yi was gone, he'd be able to do whatever he wanted. It wasn't his fault for thinking like that. Before, no matter what he did, he'd always get in the way of Lin Yi. He'd even demolished Lin Yi's girlfriend's house. How unlucky. Lin Yi, that's what you get for showing off in front of me. After I'm done with House Chu, I'll go play with your wife. Tang Yin? Ha! I've had my eyes on her since a long time ago. I'll make you cry then. With that thought, Zhao Qibing couldn't help but chuckle happily. Master Bing, what's the matter? Why are you so happy? Sihua walked in after hearing Master Bing's laughter. My legs are healed, and Lin Yi is done for. Zhao Qibing said excitedly. Right, did House Chu contact us? What's the deadline they gave them? Congratulations, Master Bing. Congratulations to you. From now on, Songshan belongs to you, Master Bing. You'll be able to do whatever you want. Sihua congratulated. The deadline they gave Peng Zhan is today. Oh, then why didn't they contact us? Zhao Qibing was getting impatient. A while ago, he'd almost died of depression from being stepped on. Now that he finally had the chance to step on someone else, he was naturally impatient. Then I'll go find Peng Zhan with Yao Wang later and threaten him? Sihua asked after some hesitation. Sure, I'll go with you later. Qibing wanted to enjoy the fun of stepping on people. Master Bing, how's your leg? Sihua asked hesitantly. I'm fine. Look, I'm all right now. Qibing walked 2 rounds on the ground. He hadn't been in the wheelchair for long, so he got back to normal after a bit of recovery training. Look at how smooth I'm walking. I can trot. I can jump. Look, Master Bing, you're amazing. I bet Lin Yi's going to be pissed to see how fast your legs healed. Sihua congratulated. Yeah, I'm going to piss Lin Yi off, and this time I'm going to break his legs. None of you help me. I'll do it myself, Qibing said. Zhao Qibing was feeling proud of himself when his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Jiang Wen calling. Was this guy giving him money again? Hello, Master Wen. Why are you calling me at this hour? Qibing picked up. Master Bing. I have some news to tell you. Jiang Wen purposely lowered his voice. I heard that Peng Zhan wants to escape. He ran to Meng Yao's villa early in the morning, planning to escape with Meng Yao. I heard that House Yu and Xiao family are looking for him now. Master Bing, you have to hurry. Don't let them escape. Oh, really? Qibing paused. He wasn't worried that Peng Zhan would run away, but he couldn't run away with his temple. He wanted a real estate company different from Xiao family and House Yu. Xiao family wanted money and property, while House Yu wanted people and shares. They were afraid that Peng Zhan would run away with the money and Meng Yao, but Qibing wasn't afraid of this. But Qibing was afraid that Peng Zhan didn't have that much money. Xiao family wanted 200 million, and if Peng Zhan didn't have it, he would have to use something else to replace it. House Yu wouldn't agree to that. After all, they wanted the shares of Peng Zhan Industries, and they might even use his real estate company's assets to make up the difference. Wouldn't that be a huge loss for him? Although Xiao family and house you wouldn't take away the real estate company directly, they still had to give him face. But Qibing was afraid that they would take away the land and properties under the real estate company, leaving behind an empty shell. What use would he have then? Besides, if those things fell into House Yu and Xiao family's pockets, he wouldn't be able to ask for them anymore. He could only blame it on his bad luck. After all, he was robbing someone else's stuff. First come, first serve. Yeah, I'm afraid that if you're late, it'll be too late, Jiang Wen said. But don't you like Meng Yao? How are you going to tip me off? Qibing wasn't an idiot. He knew that Jiang Wen was Meng Yao's pursuer, and he didn't care about what he did to House Chu, but he didn't understand why Jiang Wen wanted him to be more ruthless towards House Chu. I like her, but she doesn't like me. She's going to marry into House Yu soon. What's the use of liking her? If she came to me earlier, she wouldn't be in this situation now. Jiang Wen said this on purpose, to give Qibing a heads up. She'll be the wife of the Firewolf gang, and even House Yu will have to give them face. Yeah, but that girl asked for it herself. Who could she blame? Qibing agreed. It was indeed the case, so he went along with it. Man, I really can't bear to part with her. But you're right. Meng Yao is looking for trouble herself, and she doesn't even come to me when she's in trouble. What else can I do? Jiang Wen sighed. All right, Master Wen, my condolences. You're a healthy man with 2 kidneys now. You have to look forward. There's no impermanence grass in the world. There's no need to look for Meng Yao. Qibing consoled. Yeah, then I won't disturb you anymore, Master Bing. I'm calling you because of Master Bing's help. I became a normal person and regained my manhood. Jiang Wen said, why else would I stick my nose into other people's business? I know. Thank you, Master Wen. Qibing didn't doubt Jiang Wen's words this time and believed him. After hanging up, Qibing called Sihua over. Sihua, I just received news that Peng Zhan has tried to escape, and now House Yu and Xiao family are looking for him. If we're late, all the benefits will be taken by others, and we won't get anything at all. Chapter 9:57. You could do it first. Yes, we'll go now. Go get Yao Wang, we'll go now. Qibing said. All right, I'll go now. Sihua nodded. Where are you guys going? A voice rang out, scaring Qibing and Sihua. Lin Yi. Qibing froze as he looked at the newcomer in disbelief. Who else could it be if not Lin Yi? Are you guys looking for me? If so, there's no need to go. I'm here. Lin Yi looked at Qibing with a mocking look. Your legs healed? No wonder you're jumping around so happily. Looks like you're better off sitting in a wheelchair. What do you mean? Lin Yi, you're crippled. How dare you come here? Are you tired of living? Qibing couldn't help but feel troubled after hearing Lin Yi's words. Was Lin Yi out his mind? He could tolerate his arrogance when he was strong, but now that he didn't have the strength, how could he be so arrogant? Who told you I'm crippled? Lin Yi looked at Qibing, a little surprised. Are you dreaming? Can't you tell reality from a dream? Are you hallucinating? Qibing was stunned by Lin Yi's words, but he remembered that Lin Yi was crippled, and he was the one who sent people to test him, so it shouldn't be a lie. With that thought, he forced himself to calm down. Lin Yi, stop pretending. I'm the one who found the baldy in the parking lot of Starlight Hotel. I know your background like the back of my hand. You're trying to scare me? Is it because Peng Zhan has no other choice but to send you to stop me? Oh. Lin Yi frowned. So, it was Qibing who sent the baldy. If I'm not wrong, Peng Zhan is probably packing his things and planning to run away, right? Did they send you here by time? Qibing saw the frown on Lin Yi's face and thought that he'd hit the nail on the head. He continued to use his reasoning skills. But Lin Yi, aren't you an idiot? Why are you so stupid? You're still working for Chu Peng Zhan in this kind of situation. How much does he pay you? I asked you to scare me because I wanted you to be my cannon fodder. Do you think that you can leave now that you've come? Don't you know that I've wanted you dead for a long time? Oh, Uncle Chu didn't ask me to come. I came on my own. Lin Yi mercilessly denied Qibing's reasoning. Quack. Qibing paused. I know, you've always liked that girl, Ming Yao, right? You sacrificed yourself for her. Am I right? Sigh. Since ancient times, servants have been affectionate. They were willing to die for the young miss. I didn't expect to see the modern version. Wow, this is so touching. Your legs are healed. What's wrong with your head? Lenny looked at the arrogant Cheebing and shook his head regretfully. Looks like you'll still have to sit in a wheelchair. If your IQ continues to develop like this, you'll end up in a vegetative state. Fuck, what did you say? Cheebing slammed the table and pointed at the wheelchair behind him. Lenny, how dare you say something like that when you're here? Do you really want to die? You want me to sit in a wheelchair? Do you know why I didn't throw it away after using it? Because you already knew that it would be useful. Lenny looked at Cheebing, surprised. Huh, you're not stupid. You knew that I prepared this wheelchair for you? Cheebing laughed. That's right. I'll let you come in standing and leave in a wheelchair. Oh, it's not me who's stupid, it's you. Lin, he shook his head regretfully. You're wrong. I thought you were like Prophet Shu, a prophet soldier. I knew you'd have to sit in a wheelchair. Yao Wang, take control of this kid. I'll break his legs myself. Cheebing was furious. In his imagination, when he saw Lin Yi again, Lin Yi would kneel down and beg him with tears and snot. But Lin Yi was still so arrogant, even though he had lost his strength. This created a huge gap between Cheebing's dream and reality, and he was extremely pissed off. Although he could take revenge on Lin Yi now, it wasn't as satisfying as that. Yes, the king pharmacist replied. He had already heard the commotion and was waiting by the side. Although Yao Wang wasn't good at fighting, taking down Lin Yi, who had lost all his strength, was a piece of cake for him. Yao Wang was the one who was most confident that Lin Yi had lost all his strength. He was the one who analyzed and deduced that Lin Yi had lost all his strength. So Yao Wang grabbed at Lin Yi without any hesitation. But in the next moment, he realized that he couldn't grab Lin Yi. Huh, you're still running so fast when you've lost your strength? Yao Wang looked at Lin Yi, who was dodging to the side, and said in disbelief, You're quite good at escaping, aren't you? You can run if you can't win, but it's a pity that your legs will be crippled by masturbating in a few days. No matter how good your Qigong is, it's useless. Right, Master Bing? Huh. He had been with Master Bing for a long time and learned his laughter. He was able to imitate it perfectly. However, after Yao Wang finished speaking, he looked at Master Bing, but he didn't see Master Bing laughing out loud as he expected. At this moment, Master Bing's eyes were wide open as he looked at him in shock. This made Yao Wang confused. Master Bing, what's wrong? Your body. Master Bing's eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost. He pointed at Yao Wang and said in disbelief, What's wrong with my body? Yao Wang lowered his head in confusion and looked at his body. But when he looked, he was shocked. Ha. The king of medicine was shocked to discover that his entire body had been pierced with numerous silver needles. He suddenly remembered that when he tried to catch Lin Yi, he felt a faint prickling pain all over his body, but he didn't care at that time. Because he was a medical student, he knew that the human body would sometimes have nervous itching and prickling pain. This was not a rare thing, so he didn't care. But now he realized that it was not the case at all. What did you do to my body? Yao Wang looked at Lin Yi in shock, his face full of horror. Nothing. Aren't you good at harming people? I heard that you wanted to poison my house. Lin Yi shrugged and said innocently, so I had to make the first move. But I heard that you're very powerful, so you should be able to deal with it yourself, right? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.